All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another session of Tyranny of Dragons. Let me turn the volume down on that music because it looks a little loud. Tonight, we continue our adventure within Waterdeep after a pretty intense battle 2 sessions ago, and then last session we basically just arrived within Waterdeep and was kind of sorting everything out. So it's going to be exciting. We'll see how this goes. Currently, it looks like we are going into a bit of roleplay. So if that's more your thing, then welcome, because you're going to enjoy this one. Tonight is obviously our Tyranny game. Tomorrow is going to be an off day. We were originally hoping that we could get Brewing Storm back. Unfortunately, it's just not in the cards for this week. So we'll keep waiting and hoping that that's coming back soon. Wednesday, special session of Amongst the Giants. I decided to pull everybody together, do an extra game. Since our Empire group was going to be down this week, I wanted to kind of fill that time slot and give you guys a game that we would normally have here. Fate's going to be back on Thursday, continuing or finishing his playthrough of Rise of the Tomb Raider, so be sure to check that out. D&D replay on Friday, which will include this session. It will also include Fell Entropy from last night and our Civil War Diplomacy of the Living Isles from Saturday. So hope you'll tune in for that as well. Let's see what else we got. Ascension will be back next Sunday, so that's also something to look forward to. We plan on having this session again on Monday next week. And as a reminder, both Civil War campaigns are going to be off for their next session. So Alliance will return on August 18th, and Empire will return on the 22nd, I believe. So yeah, just keep that in mind. We'll keep you updated. We're going to continue to try to work with everybody. It would be nice to be able to have a session with them, especially with the Civil War group, after their last session, because they're super hyped. But they're going to get a little time to take a moment to think everything through. I think that's it. Let's check in here and make sure everybody's good. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting session off to the start.
Yes.
All right. So, I like the shirt there, Forge. It's very bright.
Thanks.
So yeah, last session. Had a bit of a different session going on. Y'all went shopping for the most part. You started off still on Skyreach Castle with Gothgus and the other giants upon it. As you were kind of milling around, getting to know your new abilities and items that you were granted during this final encounter, you ended up seeing some visitors coming to the castle. You discovered that 2 wyverns dropped off several members of the cult. Some of them were a bit more powerful than people you've run into before. That being said, you also were much more powerful than the last time you fought cultists, so you made pretty easy work and short work of them, dispatching them from this life and ultimately dispatching their bodies off the side of Skyreach Castle. Not really caring about who they might hit down below you, but we'll see if that happens to have any repercussions. This is fine, yeah.
Fine of the world. What are the odds?
As you were concluding this battle, Blagothgus was standing next to you, kind of examining the bodies and such, and a raven flew up to Skyreach Castle and landed in front of you. You all knew this was very odd due to your altitude, being much higher than ravens generally fly. And as this raven approached you very boldly, it began to speak in someone's voice that you very much recognized. The voice of Leos and Erlenthar came to you and wished you congratulations and offered you an invitation to Waterdeep via a teleportation scroll that was attached to this raven. After a brief amount of discussion of deciding whether or not you wanted to take this invitation immediately or wait until you were to the arrival destination of wherever Logothicus was taking Skyreach Castle, you decided that you were more needed down in Waterdeep and decided to take the teleportation circle with Logothicus's help down to Waterdeep. You found yourself in a very large empty stone chamber as the teleportation activated. A few moments later, you were met by your old friend Leosin, who you hadn't seen in quite some time. He explained that there was a council that was going to be held the next day, and that you were essentially honorary guests, ones that they wanted to have seats on the castle due to your deeds up to this point and your knowledge of the cult menace. You were told that you had rooms provided in the place that you had arrived, which you learned was the Lord's Palace, knowing that it was a very swanky place, somewhere just really usually held out for just nobility, but you were offered finest rooms and the most lavish conditions for you to have a rest and relaxation for a while. You decided that with all of the generous amount of money that you took for your own cause from the hoard that was on Skyreach Castle, decided it was time to put that money to good use, something you could use. So you had set it off into the shining city that is Waterdeep and went on a shopping spree. You were all able to find most of the items that you were looking for. Some things you found you weren't actually looking for, but decided was a good fit. You ran into an old acquaintance by the name of Vlagan Moradin and his new abode that he seems to have set up in Waterdeep, called the Straight and Narrow instead of the Crooked Tree like before. After some more wheeling and dealing with him, once again, him not accepting any of your money, only wanting favors and promises instead, you got some items from him and turned some others down, thinking the price too high, and set off continuing your exploration through the city. As evening progressed, you stopped a few other places, got a few more items for your coin, and then headed back to the Lord's Palace, retiring to your respective rooms within there. So we're going to start the session. The night has passed without incident. You got a nice long rest. The most comfortable you've been, even with the accommodations at Skyreach Castle being somewhat better than what you're used to. This was the most comfort you've been in a long time. You are treated like royalty at this point, and very much feel it. As you all wake, you see that wash basins have all been provided with warm water waiting for you, the servants having slipped in while you were sleeping. You were able to get ready, donning your arms and weapons and such, or armor and weapons rather, to head out. And as you all begin to head down the hallway to a large antechamber that you came off of to get to your rooms, you see Leosin standing next to a fire waiting on you.
I move up to Leosin and clasp his hand, turn him around, to face us. Friend Leosin, is the council ready for us?
And with that, you see Leosin kind of peeking his head out one of the large, paneless windows of this palace, and looks at the sun. He says, "It should be starting soon, I think. If you are all ready," he looks around at the group, kind of questioningly. "I'll be happy to lead you there and give you some information on the way."
Tara's gonna nod. I'm ready.
I'm gonna look over at Tara and kind of nudge her and say, "Do I look presentable?"
Does he look presentable? Did you change?
No. Nope, I'm in my normal gear.
Your finest black loincloth.
I'm just gonna look up at Stone's going to look up at him and go, "Really?"
What? And like kind of look around the room, like not even like acknowledging her, even though she can't actually see me not looking at her, and just kind of look around and say, "Ignalia, do I look okay?"
I'm imagining that I'm still getting adjusted to the billowing smoke of my armor, and so there's this cloud wall in front of my face, and I can't quite see you either.
So
wave that across and take a good look. Yes.
Yes, it's fine.
I'll unfurl my wings, give it a good flap, and push the smoke off at the top of your armor.
It keeps coming. There's no stopping it.
There's no stopping it.
At least it doesn't smell.
It's true.
No, it is odorless. Thank God.
So with that, with everybody kind of motioning, they're pretty much ready, even with their little quirky attitudes about it. Leosin nods and points the way, kind of motioning for you to follow him. And he sets off, much like the day before, down long and twisting hallways through this very large palace. As you continue on, you know that without a guide here, you would very easily get lost within this place. It having, more than likely, having so many twists and turns and such, when you know that you've just passed a few places that might have been on the other side of a wall that you were there before, but kind of assuming that maybe this place was designed in such a way to confuse and trap, or hopefully trap intruders. As you continue on, Erlenthar begins speaking about random things, talking about the different orders and the different people that are going to be present at this council. He says that he will not be present for it. Unfortunately, he was not invited for the proceedings, it being limited to more powerful people than him. But he says that the Harpers will be represented there by his boss, Ramalia Haventree, who you remember you met before in the Yawning Portal while you were in Waterdeep previously. He speaks also of the Order of the Gauntlet, and that an old friend of yours that you remember mostly fondly, I would imagine, Onthar Froom, will be leading the delegation for the Order at the council. He speaks of a third one.
No, I was saying he made his way all the way from Elturel.
From Elturel.
Kind of makes you think that the things are being taken seriously. Whereas when you last spoke to them, they were rallying, trying to rally people to this cause. Leosin and Ramalia and Onthar knew that the cult was a very real threat, but they didn't have a lot of support behind it. And after a month or two or so of your absence, you see that they have done their job. They have not been idle while you've been away. They've been working as well, and now that they have a council of not only the Order and the Harpers, they speak also of the Emerald Enclave, basically a group dedicated to maintaining balance in the natural order and combating the forces that threaten that balance. They apparently recognize the fact that the cult is going to, if they have not already, upset the balance of the natural order of things. And even though they are hesitant to kill, especially chromatic dragons, even though most are of the evil variety, they still have their place in the world. They do see the severity of this issue and have joined the council. He speaks finally of the largest group that will be at the council, holding the most seats, the Lord's Alliance. This is a hodgepodge of nobles and leaders all across Faerun, not only the Sword Coast, but other places as well. You know that the rulers of Waterdeep, Silvery Moon, Baldur's Gate, and other cities and families and trading houses of the Sword Coast will be present here. Though Leosin does warn that, especially with this group and with the others together as well, with all their varying ideals and hidden agendas and such, not everybody is going to get along. And that, honestly, he doesn't know if the way that the council is now, if it's going to get anything done with the constant politics, especially from the Lord's Alliance, having nothing but politicians and royal houses present at this. And he thinks that you, the party, is very much needed at this council as a directing light, if nothing else, as somebody to point them in the right direction and steer them to the path that will help them fight the cult. He informs you that Lord Dagult Neverember is presiding over this council. He speaks very briefly of him for those of you that may not know, that he is a very powerful man, probably the most powerful single individual in this alliance. He is the holder of many titles and wears several crowns. He is the Open Lord of Waterdeep, the Lord Protector of Neverwinter, and also the leader of this Lord's Alliance. And you know that he is very well known. He is splitting all of his costs out to essentially resurrect the city of Neverwinter back to its previous glory, as well as being the the Open Lord of Waterdeep, and you know that the Open Lord is the face of the leadership of Waterdeep, but you also know that there are masked lords of Waterdeep that are not commonly known. Only a select few actually know these people's identities. They hold closed councils to direct and decide things that happen within the city of Waterdeep and the surrounding areas that they control. And on that subject, Leosin stops and turns to you all in the middle of a chamber. He looks around very quickly, making sure that there's nobody around, and he says, once again, quietly, there is one thing that you must know about the Masked Lords. One of them was assassinated just over a week ago. It's becoming more common knowledge now, even though his identity wasn't previously known, but gossip has a way of finding its way out. It wouldn't be that much of a deal, though. The Masked Lords, rather, are sometimes easily replaceable. But this one has a personal weight to it for me and myself, and especially my leader, Ramalia, as it was her husband that was assassinated.
Wow. Why would surely Lord Neverember knows the identities of the Masked Lords?
And with that, he nods. He says he does, being the Open Lord. That being said, it doesn't mean that there aren't other ways of finding out these identities. And we are all but certain that the cult are the reason, or the masterminds behind this assassination.
I would never suggest, Lord Neverember be behind it. Simply the duration it took to learn that one of the Masked Lords had been killed, or at least the information to become semi-public. I guess he was probably hosting some sort of an investigation.
And with that, Leosin nods. He says, yes, we have theories up to this point of who or what may have caused this. It was a bit of a gruesome scene, unfortunately. That being said, there were no signs of forced entry into his chambers where he was murdered, and thank the Lord, or thank the gods above, Ramalia was absent in her dealings at the time. That he kind of stands up more straight and everything. Says, speaking of, we'll have some information for you I think that you'll appreciate come the council, though it is not my place to tell you. Remy will be happy to let you know about that when the council concludes.
Be sure to not bring up, the subject of her husband. Does it have any further bearing on our meeting at the council?
With that, Leosin kind of shrugs. He says, with the council itself, it was a spark that brought many more people into the Lord's Alliance, and that showed that even people as powerful as the Lords of Waterdeep were not protected from this cult menace. Ultimately, his death made him a martyr, and I think may have even had a chance and been the guiding light that formed this council completely.
Kind of nod knowingly as he mentions it. Death has a way of uniting the living.
And with that, Leosin begins to turn around with a bit of a sad look in his eyes. That it does. It's unfortunate it came to that, but hopefully his death will not be in vain. And with that, Leosin begins leading you back down the hallways. As you're moving through, you see the hallways begin to part, growing larger, and you see that more people are now walking around in the chambers or in the halls with you as well. You know that you're now back into more of the common areas of the Lord's Palace. As you move around, you see lots of finery, different colors of cloaks and armor, as you see a few guards walking around, and it's kind of unsettling because typically for a place such as this, you would expect one uniform to be present, just one set of guards for the Lord's Palace. And though you do see a few with the symbol of Waterdeep upon them, you see even more with others, places that you actually recognize. You recognize livery from Baldur's Gate that you visited before. You see some livery of some guards from Elturel. And you know and you're able to surmise that all of these lords have not come here unaccompanied. They have brought vassals and such along with them. And you're even reinforced even further in this, that you make your way into a very large chamber before you. Rising columns at least 100 feet into the air around you. It's this massive hall. And within it, you see countless people, hundreds, maybe thousands, all milling around, having heated debates here and there. As you're looking around, you see most of them appear to be nobles, all finely dressed and pudgy in their outlook, though you do see some that have obviously seen combat here or there around the room. Everybody roll me perception checks except Zorn.
Them some good rolls.
There's some very good rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Say, you guys can bother if you want, but I think we got it.
Yeah, I think you got it. So, as you're all looking around this room, like I said, you see all these different finery, city-states that are being represented here, nobles as well, with the guards surrounding them, kind of watching the room, albeit most of them very nonchalantly, knowing this place is very, very well protected at this current moment. As you're looking around, Max, as you're being led through this room, Leo's in having a very straight purpose of heading over to the wall to the rest of the room, which you see a few small corridors leading off of it. You catch the eye of a younger side woman that seems to be staring at your group as you walk by. She almost seems to start to approach you as if she has something to say, but then stops and seems to have a thoughtful look on her face, and then mills herself back into the crowd.
Do I recognize her?
You do not.
Okay. With a, I imagine I see Ignalia's eyes, moving in the same direction, and just like look over questioningly, like with a question on my face, asking if she knows her.
No, I've never seen her before, but she's certainly taken an interest in us. But, don't worry too much. Many people are sure to be taking interest of us today.
And soon, I imagine.
And even as you say this, you start to look around the room a little bit more intently now, seeing not just the one woman's eyes. You see multitudes of groups looking at you, seeing this somewhat haphazard group of Dragonborn and Asimir and Ginsai all together, walking around fully armed. You see a lot of nobles aren't really armed to the teeth or anything like that, carrying ceremonial swords at most. The guards being the only ones, but seeing all of you still wearing all of your weapons and such and moving around completely unimpeded with Leosin being your escort. You would definitely hear a few whispers going on of people wondering who you are and what you're doing here. And a giant stone golem marching behind, apparently.
Yeah, we really shouldn't be surprised about anything right now.
As you're continuing on, Erlenthar stops at a corridor and kind of motions for you to all file into it. It being a little bit narrow, it almost looks like it's a servant's passageway to get in and out of this large chamber. As you all move into there, you see a few doors down and then a wall that stops. Leosin comes up behind you. He says, "There's one last piece of advice that I must give you before you go into the council room." And with that, he reaches over and, without even really looking at the wall, he taps and pushes in a block next to him. And a door that you had not previously seen lifts up into the air, going from the ground to the ceiling, revealing a chamber beyond it. With that, he says, "I cannot accompany you further here, but it's just a straight walk through here and you'll be at the council. Your seats will be provided, and they're just waiting on you at this point. I have to warn you, they are here," which was the first step. "They have swore to pledge their resources and support, but they have not said what resources and what support they will pledge. There's a lot of distrust, or mistrust rather, within this council. They need someone, hopefully you, to guide them. So don't be ashamed and don't be afraid. I know you're in the presence of majestic people and people of legend, living legends themselves, but you are the heroes here. And we may have had something to say, maybe made you all you're up to be, in their eyes at the very least."
I imagine, smiling and nodding. We've gotten them this far.
Tara's going to kind of smirk. Oh, sorry.
No, it's just there's more work to be done. We just have to convince them of that.
That there is. And with that, Leosin once again kind of bows towards you all, lowering his head very much in respect to you all, and motions for you to go ahead and enter the chamber.
You gonna say something, Zorn?
Nope, let's go. Fearless leader.
Yeah, I'll kind of straighten myself up, adjusting things as, shoulders back, head up. I guess what a stone's call. We're in a little corridor. He's just probably bent over, like hunched down, him and the golem.
Am I okay?
Yeah, you can get in there. It's a little cramped, but you're fine.
Yeah, and I'll start making my way down towards the end of the hallway.
Making your way downtown. All right, so as you all begin moving down this corridor, it goes about 100 feet or so, very dark and musty, but you see lights burning, though they are a little bit of an odd coloration as you get closer. It almost seems like white light is burning in the distance as you approach into another very large chamber, this one with no other entrances aside from the one that you have just gone through. As you're looking at it, you see once again there are large pillars reaching from floor to ceiling, positioned all around this room, obviously holding up the massive amount of stone above you. As you look down the hallway, you see what appears to be a large oak wood table that is set in this kind of intricate looking style, where down at the ground you see water making a somewhat lavish trail across underneath it. Looks very decorative, although not super functional. You see a stairwell leading off up into the distance, presumably off to maybe some chambers or such, leading past this table. At this table, you see 5 seats that are not occupied. The rest of them all occupied by different people of different races, all of them holding an air of determination. And even if it's not physical power, definitely an air of power around them. As you all begin to approach a man, a tall and broad-shouldered man with a very thick black beard, a wild mane of hair, and a bit of a forceful manner, stands up looking directly at you. Says, "Aha! The heroes have finally graced us with their presence. Come, your seats are here." And with that, he motions to the 5 seats before him, motioning for you to sit down.
Imagine, just give him a nod, and make my way, directly to the seat in the middle of the 5, and then go and kind of stand there and wait for everyone else, so we all kind of sit down at the same time.
I'm going to turn towards my golem and then point towards a spot on the floor away from everyone, and then make my way over next to Max. Kind of instruct my golem to stand there and wait.
Okay.
I will give a very deep bow and a signature of, my salute, whatever's appropriate to my station, and then take the seat on the other side of Max.
I will be heading as far away from Max as possible. Probably right beside Tara would be my guess.
Okay. So as you all begin moving out, Rogar taking the open seat in between a couple of you, you all move up to your seats, sitting down, and you start to look around this table. As you look around, you see a couple of people you recognize. You see Ramalia Haventree sitting across the table from you, not quite to the man who spoke to you side, but very close up there. You see Onthor Froome sitting next to her, a very wide grin on his face as he sees you for the first time in a while. He keeps his comments to himself, but he seems to be bristling to speak with you, but obviously has the poise to know that business comes first. You see a few other people here that you do not recognize. Once again, the man sitting at the somewhat head of this table down below this large stairwell back behind him. Once again, very broad-shouldered, tall, handsome, thick beard, wild mane of hair. Looks like a man that not only can handle himself in battle, but seems to have an eye of intelligence upon him. And as you all sit down, he starts to do the same. Standing back up again, very briefly, he says, introductions, of course. My name is Lord Dougald Neverember, though I'm sure you've not heard of me. And with a bit of a grin, he sits down at the table.
Yeah, I'll stand and motion. I am Maximilian. This is Ignalia, Embercloak, Terranoxus, Stone Skull, Kegthor, and Rogar.
As you say that, he says, yes. We've heard much about you, actually. He kind of looks over at Ramalia and Anthar that are seated next to each other. No short of detail, actually. A lot of grand things have been told to us. I'd like to know the validity of these deeds that you've been claimed that you have done. By others, of course, but not doubting you, of course. I just prefer to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were.
And looking back and forth, they kind of scanning the group, said, I hardly believe what we've experienced ourselves. Much has happened, and much faster than any one of us could have anticipated. Things still remain in motion.
As you say that, DeGault kind of opens his hands up acceptingly. Says, yes, that it has. Faster than any of us expected, honestly. But you yourselves especially, what drove you to even approach the town of Greenest? You clearly saw the dragon attacking it. What madness possessed you to go to that town?
There were individual motives that circumstance or divine fate brought us all there that day. I've come to learn much about, my comrades, but we all could not stand to do nothing, to allow the city to suffer.
As you say that, you see DeGault Neverember stroking his very long beard as he listens to you, kind of nodding slowly. Says, very noble to put yourself in harm's way, and multiple times through the night, if Leozin's reports are to be accepted for their validity. But then you continued on with nothing to your name. You were offered no reward, really, and you sought out the bandits, what we now know as the cults. You sought them out at their camp, going to get more information and save someone. Once again, doing it for noble reasons, was it?
Noble and personal. We've come to find that some of my cohorts we were searching for loved ones that we had lost, for revenge. All these reasons drove us forward to continue pursuing the cult.
And good that it did.
We're sure you've experienced such loss as well.
With that, you see Lord Neverember shaking his head very slowly as he looks over at Stone Skull. My charges have not been without incidents, unfortunately. Since you've been gone and up to the north, things have begun escalating. But that's for another time. I want to hear more about you, since you've been talked so highly of. What was it that you were seeking out, going off to Elturel, and then Baldur's Gates, and then even further north from there to this grand city of Waterdeep, and
What
then
madness
further north
is
even
this?
still? What drove you there?
What madness?
Well, it was without much direction and without much information. We relied on Master Leosin and his connection to, and I'll nod to Onthar, and Elturel in an effort to gain assistance. Unfortunately, the circumstances didn't reveal themselves to what they are, to the truth at that time. So there was no help to be had, or not enough. We decided to, with what little information we gathered from the cultist hatchery outside of Greenest, to try and find a Castle Neatar, where we found information that the stolen goods were being shipped. We infiltrated a cultist caravan and made our way up the Sword Coast before we found their haven here in Waterdeep.
As you're speaking, you see a few people. Most everybody is very much paying attention to you. Everyone seems to have a very weighing look in their eyes. Even Ramali and Anthar, who you know already, and they know you. You see everyone else seems to be listening to your words, taking everything you say very seriously. And as you mention the hatchery, you see a half-elf sitting over to the side of the table. You've noticed him a little bit, looks a little out of place. He wears very fine green clothing, somewhat fine, but more so looking like it would be good out in the outdoors, with a large green cloak upon him. And as you finish speaking, he says, "I would very much like to go revisit something you just said. What led you to destroy the eggs out of this hatchery?"
We decided that through our own personal experience with dragons and with the cultist activity, that nothing good could come of maintaining or keeping the eggs intact.
You should say that. You see him kind of nodding, and he raises an eyebrow. He says, "Good. Dragons are neither good nor bad in most circumstances. They simply are. They exist to maintain a balance, and yet you decided to snuff their lives out. It's a very interesting choice."
They were black dragon eggs.
As you say that, he kind of raises his hands up in a bit of a shrug. Black, white, gold, bronze. Who are you to decide their fate when they are so young?
It is not a matter of deciding fate. Our enemies had used these same dragons to attack us. Leaving them there would have been akin to giving them back to the cultists.
With that, he, once again, not looking very satisfied with the answer, but regardless, he nods, letting you continue on with the story, moving back and remaining quiet after that. Let's see. With that, Neverember leans forward again and says, "Very well, you've told us of your journey to Waterdeep at that point, and then you set off from here, heading to the north. You were researching or trying to get some information as to where this Castle Neatar was, and from our reports, you discovered where it was. In the Mere of Dead Men, yes?"
Correct.
"And what's happened there? We've gotten somewhat sporadic and confusing reports due to their source being lizard folk. What happened there?"
We attempted to use our guys once again to follow cultist caravans that were working on or that were plaguing your construction project to repair the high road. When we made our way to the castle, we found that the cult had somehow pacified Vorgmanthar. And I don't feel like I need to explain anymore. I assume everyone here knows that name.
I'll just say that Decolt says, "Yes, we've all heard of the Black Death."
The Black Death had been pushed away from this place, and the cultists had used it as a positioning point to move the horde via means of magical travel. We incited an uprising with the enslaved lizard folk against their bullywug and cultist captors.
There we go. That's what I was wondering.
And cleansed Castle Neatar of its cult influence.
With that, you see him nodding once again. You see a few other people around the table doing the same. With that, he looks over, DeGalt looks over towards Ignalia. And during their journey to the north, and he looks back at the group, you lost someone that you set off with. Arun, I think was his name, yes?
Yeah, Arun started the journey with us, but didn't make the travel to Waterdeep.
It's unfortunate what happened, but with that, we have some more insight as he looks over at Ignalia. Ontharr has talked or spoken very highly of you. What did you think of this group?
Well, I tend to keep my opinions in reserve, my lord. But I know that it's best to observe before coming to a definite judgment. And I was very uncertain at first. But by the end of that trip, I saw them all to be of noble qualities. Sometimes qualities much more steadfast than even my own.
That he nods. Following in the line with the rest of the reports, it seems that everyone you meet speaks highly of you, or, in some cases, in fear. Which both have their uses, I suppose. But anyway, continuing on, you made your way from Castle Neatar and moved to a few other places and found this castle, Skyreach Castle, controlled by this, seems to be thinking for a moment, Blagothkus. Yes, that was his name. What was the fate of this castle? Last I heard, you were still upon it, flying through the skies, going who knows where.
We were headed to a giant, well, the castle is headed to a giant encampment in the spine of the world. We received communication requesting our return along with magical guidance, and we thought it best to report in now that we are seemingly at a crossroads.
That he thinks. He says, yes, I was the one that orchestrated that along with Romalia and Leozen for your return. It seemed things were getting dire and we needed your input going forward. Did you find anyone of importance on this castle? Our information is lacking a bit. Tell us, what did you run into on the castle? Who was there? What were they doing?
We learned that the castle itself, while not being an ally to the cultists, we're still allowing the cultists to use their castle to ferry these goods deeper into the spine of the world. We also learned that the Red Wizards of Thay are involved. They are working with the cultists somehow, and Wrath Modar. Didn't we give them information? Did we send this back, or do we still have it on us?
Y'all didn't send this back.
I think it's still on us.
Yeah. I'll motion over to Ignalia to you, and to myself, because I think you kept some, or did you did with the star charts? I think I'm the only one with the notes, Wrath's notes. And I'll set them, reach into my pack and set them down under the table. The magic is beyond, or the understanding of this magic is beyond my comprehension. But it does look as if the cult is enlisting Thayan help in trying to resurrect Tiamat.
With that, you see him stroking his beard. Everybody around the table, you see a few of them leaning over, having whispered discussions about this revelation. So was there, DeGalt speaking once again, was there a leader upon this? Surely a giant was not fully engrossed within this cult. That would be a very unfortunate thing to happen. Was there someone else there aside from, you said, Wrath Modar?
That is the Red Wizard, Red Wizard of high esteem. He had an associate that was the direct contact.
As he's saying that, Stone Skull kind of speaks up and says, there was also the undead.
The undead? What do you mean?
Kind of look over and say, I think her name was Sandersil.
Daddy kind of scratches
Vampire
his beard.
spawn.
It's like, we had heard of him before, but it's been last a century since he's popped up. An old supporter of the cult, from what we gather.
Mm-hmm.
Very odd for him to be with them in this new turn of events. But you said there was no leadership there? Surely with this horde, we thought there would be a worm speaker present.
Of course. Resmir was the one
Resmir?
leading the cultist activities.
You found Resmir? Did you capture her?
We did not capture her. We killed her.
With that, you see a slight bit of excitement, not only within the Golds, but also within Romalia. Kind of wither a bit, but they both don't look saddened by this news too much. Says it's regrettable that we couldn't get information out of her, but one less worm speaker is good.
I'm gonna just hold up a hand and just on the side add in and say, we did try to take her, but the cultist resolution within all of them is so strong, she wouldn't have had it any other way. And it's worth mentioning, they had something that must have been of value with them, because with her life, such an item vanished before our eyes before we could see it.
With that, he thinks, an item. So, you didn't see the mask then? That had to have been it.
It was a small chest. It could have contained any number of things. Is there a mask of import?
With that, Degolt starts to lean back in his chair, still stroking his beard. Says, yes, I'll leave it, and he motions over towards Romalia. I'll let her discuss it. We've learned some information recently. As he says that, Romalia kind of sits forward in her chair and looking towards you as well as the rest of the council. Says, recently we've gotten some news that the way that they are controlling these dragons, the way that they are, these mere humans, these mere elves and other humanoids are able to control these people and or control these dragons and get them to fight on their side is magical in nature. There are dragon masks that are controlled and worn by the worm speakers. As far as we know, that is their only purpose. We imagine, and she kind of motions towards Max, that is how Voragmanthar was coerced into, at the very least, being obedient enough not to kick the cult out of his swamp.
He was not a voluntary cohort or a voluntary ally.
With that, he nods. Says, it sounds like they may be more powerful than we thought. It is something that we need to be mindful of going forward. If the worm speakers do have these, we need to relieve them of them.
What did they look like?
With that, she kind of raises her hands up pleadingly. I do not know, unfortunately. We captured a dragon soul and interrogated him for 14 days. And before he finally died of his wounds, he let out that information.
Oof. We also, on Castle Skyreach, slayed Glaziel.
I take out one of the white scales that I still have and put it onto the table.
As you say that and set it out there, you see everybody at this table leaning forward, peering at the scale. You see a couple people, the half-elf from before looks at it, says, that is not a young dragon. You slayed this creature?
We did.
As you say that, he leans back and says, that is not an easy feat, albeit a regrettable one. And as he confirms that you did slay a pretty powerful dragon, Ontharr, unable to contain himself any longer, starts to bellow out a laugh. Ha ha! I told you! These people were the ones for the job. Told you they were strong. Told you they were noble. Now do you see? And he begins to look around the table, motioning to everyone. Do you see what we have told you? With that, Degault nods very slowly, looking over at the dragon scale and then looking back and seeming to eye every single one of you. That he says, yes, it seems everything we've been told is true.
There was one other factor that we found upon the castle, though. My Lord Anthar, did you receive the text that I had sent over last night?
With that, he thinks. What was the text you sent over? Forgot.
That book of what I think must have been Infernal.
Oh, the Sony book. Yeah. With that, Anthar nods. He has a very his mood and demeanor changing almost instantly as you mention it. The boisterous smile and such disappearing, and a very grave look crossing his face. He says, "Yes, unfortunately, I did. It's a bit worrying. I had a few of our scribes work through the night to translate as much as we could." With that, he turns away and kind of addresses the entire council. It spoke of summoning rituals, albeit nothing specific, unfortunately. It talked of being able to bring things from the plane of hell. I can only imagine that this spoke of more than likely how they plan to bring Tiamat to this plane.
That would sound likely. We found it amongst the Red Wizard's things.
As he says this and you respond to that, you hear the room beginning to grow a little bit more agitated as everybody begins to talk amongst themselves, looking around and speaking to each other, even across the table and such. Most of them seeming to have a disbelief about this up to this point, but then realizing that it's true.
I imagine, now as everyone's kind of talking, I'll pipe up, addressing the table. So we've seen what the cult is capable of and what they're willing to do, the lengths that they're willing to go to bring Tiamat back. With the allies that they've put together and the resources they now have, I think it might be possible. This must be addressed
Hey there, Rose.
immediately, with all the resources that we have to prevent this from happening. Tiamat cannot be allowed back to the prime material.
And as you say that, you look over to the side of the table, sitting over near Lord Neverember. A smaller individual seems to have a bit of a larger chair to bring up his height. As you see a shield dwarf sitting there. And as you say that, he kind of leans forward his table, pointing a bit of a meaty finger towards you. Says, "It would take much to bring her back, I would think. What makes you think that they have any chance of even being able to do so?"
I mean this with the utmost respect. I kind of let it linger for his name.
With that, he reaches back and grabs his tunic and kind of straightens it, pulling it down. "I am the ambassador from the Mithril Hall, Conrad Bronenville."
Master Bronenville. Much happened, and the cult gained much strength right under all of our noses. This process, this ritual that they've been planning, has been going on for some time. And the only reason it has the steam it has now is because nothing's been done so far. We now know that they're planning on it. And if this network is as large as it is, we have to assume that they believe that they can do it.
As you say that, you see him having a bit of a flash of anger crossing Braun Anvil's face as you say that. Seems at the hot-tempered nature of him, as he's not quite talk back to you, but in an eloquent way of doing so. He sits back with a kind of a humph, says, "Well, it'll stay too much. I don't see it happen." Who else is going to talk? Let's see. With that, you see another man, very large in his bearing, wide and muscular and such. And you see upon his chest a symbol that you remember seeing all over Baldur's Gate. With that, he leans forward and kind of rests his chin in his hand. He says, "What of Skyreach Castle? Is it out of our possession now? Is it returned to the Giants? It could be a valuable asset if we do end up going to war with this cult."
With that, Tara's going to kind of Tara's going to kind of clear her throat, and she's going to lean forward and say, "It was never out of the Giants' possession. Blagothkus was allowing them to use his castle in order to gain information. He is taking his castle to a council much like this. You would be wise to seek out his help instead of his castle."
Make a persuasion check.
Yeah, let me find my character sheet buried. Hold on.
Can I help him by throwing in, it would be wise to do such a thing just because, no, he doesn't need it, but I'm going to say,
no,
it's wise to do such
I'm
a
gonna
thing.
plant
because
my hand right over Ignalia's mouth. Nope.
Max, shut up.
You got him.
This is managing to reignite the fight between dragon and giant alike.
So as you're saying that, you see this man kind of taken aback a bit, but then he nods. He says, "Yes, well met, young Tara and Ignalia. Well met. I didn't think of it that way. I apologize. In Baldur's Gate, I lead the Flaming Fist Warriors. I lead them with a strategic mind. That is why I hope to be in charge of the armies if we ever need them going forward." And as he says that, Lord Neverember turns to him. Yes, Uldor, it'll be fine. They know what they're talking about. I think we've gathered that to this point. I'm sure we could send emissaries to the Giants and see where they sit on this cause and whether or not they would lend our support. And of course, he looks back towards the group, maybe with a friendly word from people they know that would aid our plans.
Blagothkus has no love for the dragons, and he is trying to unite his people to prevent Tiamat's rise.
And as you say that Blagothkus has no love for the dragons, you see someone that's been quiet up to this point. You see what appears to be a wild elf. His hair kind of done up with a crown, but made entirely of branches and leaves and flowers. And he says, still kind of sitting there, not really looking at you all, more so just examining his fingernails. He says, "Of course, the Giants have no love for the dragons. Everyone knows this. It's been that way since, well, as far as I can remember, and that's a very, very long time."
Tara's going to lean over to Stone Skull and just kind of whisper, "Did he just speak just to brag on how..."
He, with that, again, another nod. Said, "Master..."
With that, as you say that, he looks over, finally seeming to acknowledge your presence for a moment. He says, "Master, no. King Melindrach."
"Sire, the thing that led this entire revelation is that they were using the cultists were using a giant's castle. So our fear was that they were allied somehow against common sense. However, he, like us, was unable to gather the strength of his people together to acknowledge the threat that lay before them. He is remedying that now, as should we.
Even still, we can't depend on the giants. We must take action ourselves."
Agreed.
As you say that, Lord Neverember opens his hands up, acknowledging that. And that ultimately is why we are here today. Now that we've heard your stories coming directly from you instead of secondhand reports, he kind of turns, nodding, not necessarily dismissing what Leosin and Rignalia brought to them, but very much saying that he wanted to hear it from you all instead of hearing the reports of it. We can move on now to current affairs. See, we've begun taking this more seriously as of late, and he looks over at Romalia once again. Romalia especially, for varying reasons, has been doing so, and the Harpers have brought us some information. And with that, he kind of closes his eyes and shakes his head. But before that, I must talk to you all, and he motions to the group. You see, we all, in our respective fashion, hold stations over our people, our subjects, our wards, as it were, things that we must protect. We want you all to do the same and have the same power, albeit in a different fashion, if you so choose it. And with that, you see a stack of papers in front of him. He pulls out a smaller stack. It looks like it has 5 different pieces within it. He says, on these papers signed by everyone at this delegation is a writ of amnesty within the lands that we have power over. This will allow you to continue your investigation unimpeded. But be aware, this holds a heavy price. You have our names backing you if you have this in your possession. And if it was used unwisely, or in ways that would be seen less than favorable by us or the people that trust us with their lives, unfortunately, we would have to disown it. That being said, after hearing your stories today, as well as the things that have been told to me, I don't see that being an issue. And with that, he motions over, and you see a servant moving up next to him, and he hands the papers off, and the servant moves behind you all, setting these writs in front of you. You see them all made out to your names, basically giving you, not necessarily unlimited power, but giving you amnesty from needing to follow certain laws. Yeah, essentially keys to cities. You see everything from Waterdeep to Baldur's Gate to El Turil to provinces all across the Sword Coast. Talking there, you even see one within the Misty Forest with a quickly scrawled hand of King Melindris that signed it. Though you can tell by the writ that it was very hesitantly done so. You see that these essentially give you a full reign to go to these places unimpeded, with the names of these lords and ladies and these kings and masters and leaders from all over the Sword Coast backing you.
We didn't just get not unimpeded, we got the VIP pass.
Essentially. So, with that, he nods to you, says, take these with you. Wherever you end up going, hopefully you can continue to serve the cause of fighting against this cult. You've seemed very adamant about continuing on that course of action thus far, and these will help you in that goal, as well as, and he motions to the entire council, everyone here will, of course, do our best to support you as well.
Nod, as we take ours individually, and we will use these as long as we remain in service to you. But only when necessary.
As I would hope. With that, once again, as I said before, more current affairs. And with that, he looks over towards Romalia. He says, Romalia here has gathered some interesting information that was just given to us this morning, actually, if you don't mind. And then, once again, Romalia leans forward, looking towards the group. Says, we've been hard at work ever since we started growing support against this cult here. Now that more people are taking it seriously, we are able to do our jobs, as it were. And with that, the Harpers are very good at gathering information, and not just any information, things that are important. And we learned something interesting just 2 days ago. And after going through and checking the validity and cross-checking with other sources, we think we have a lead. As we said previously, the Worm Speakers are the leaders of this organization. We now know that there are 5 of them, one for each chromatic color of dragon. We found the location of who we believe to be the White Worm Speaker. We've learned his name is Varum, and he is a dwarf. We learned an interesting turn of events seemed to happen. Someone stole his mask, and it seems that he is trying to locate it again, and in doing so, he's brought himself to the light where we were able to find him. What we are needing is someone to seek out the validity of these claims and, at the very worst, be ready to intercept him if he is present where we want. My dear friend Leosin has discovered that he was seen in the trade settlement of Boriskir Bridge near the Serpent's Hills, off to the northeast from here. It will take you some time to reach there, but I'm confident based on what we were told he was doing, searching out for this mask by other means, or alternative means rather, than normal.
What do you mean?
Well, you see, we've heard reports that no one but his group knows about the missing mask. He is keeping the secret from the rest of the cult. The thing is, he has no idea who stole this, and that he's been unable to find it even with powerful scrying magic. So he's seeking out magic more powerful than even that to find its location. And there are rumors, and mostly legends, that there is magic of that kind somewhere up near the Serpent Hills. We believe that is where he's going, and that is what he is seeking. And we've even heard reports of a dwarf that seems to prefer being clad in the finery of the white color and being escorted wherever he went up in that region.
That would seem to fit.
That is what we thought as well. So, the council hereby would request of you. We do not order you around. We will not take that power. You are your own individuals, and you've done well with that power up to this point. So we would like to request that you investigate this at your earliest convenience. We do not know how long he will stay there, but once again, we will not tell you where you need to go.
With that, Tara's going to kind of lean forward, and when we run into him, kill or capture? What would the council have us do?
As you say that, you see the entire council, everybody that's spoken up to this point, as well as a couple others, looking around each other, and muted conversations go on and say, well, with that, Ramalia says again, we know that the fanaticism of these cults members, especially the ones that have reached a higher rank, from dragon souls to worm speakers, are not very willing to talk. I believe you said so yourself when you confronted Resmir, that she seemed to prefer death over leaking any secrets. That being said, having a worm speaker to provide knowledge would be invaluable, if it's possible. So, I think that everyone would be in agreement, and she kind of looks around, seeing if anybody says otherwise, and you see a few people kind of shrugging, not really caring one way or another. And with that, she nods and looks back to you. I think everyone is in agreement that if you were able to capture Varum, it would be preferable over killing him, but getting rid of a threat that is a worm speaker is more than enough.
And we will do our best.
Tara kind of nods in agreement with Max.
With that thing nod, see a few of them talking once again, discussing a few things, everything from your story. You see a couple people are still kind of lingering upon the fact that you destroyed the eggs, as well as the thoughts of the castle. Some thinking that who you know from previous conversation with Leo's, and as well as his name being said here, was Ulder Ravengard, and that he is the leader of the Flaming Fist, the military might in Baldur's Gate, saying that he had a good point, that the castle would be invaluable in coming war. As you're all sitting there listening to these conversations, seeing the council seems to be winding down, everybody give me perception checks.
Oh, okay.
I got one more thing I want to ask them before they wrap up.
Okay.
Stone Skull's been trying to worried so much that he's presentable that he's actually.
He's paying attention to everything.
So Stone Skull especially, but Ignalia and Rogar as well.
I have advantage.
You have advantage for those reasons.
My shields, huh?
No, for looking for threats and stuff. That's not necessarily that.
It says on wisdom, specifically perception checks.
I'll give it to you, 'cause I'm a nice guy.
Yes.
As you're all sitting there, the room starting to grow a little bit more in volume. Not to a yell or anything like that. It's not uncomfortable to sit there. But everybody talking and echoing around you. You all feel a very similar sensation. Everyone feels as if like the hairs on the back of their neck stands up, and it almost seems like the earth shifts in a awkward way, almost disorienting you for a moment. And as you feel this, you hear that the room has gone almost deadly silent. As you all look around, everybody seems to have a bit of a confused look on their face. And with that, you see King Melindrach perk up and still looking a little bit unsettled now, instead of his more pompous attitude and facade that he wore before. He says, "I felt that same thing yesterday. What is it? Does anybody know?" As he looks around the room, glancing around at everyone, it seems like everyone's just shaking their head. They've all felt this sensation that just something is off, but no sense of presence of it, nothing that shows what it is. Nothing physical in front of them, nothing spiritual, nothing magical even, seems to be radiating around them. And with that, King Meldrin kind of nods and continues to look around the room and shrugs. Then a few moments pass before conversations start to pick up again.
Were everybody just glossing over that quickly?
Seems to be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm okay with glossing over that.
So has that been going on for some time?
As you say that, Ramalia and Anthar are kind of paying more attention to you than the rest of the congregation here. They lean over and says, "It seemed like it was reported that something strange happened yesterday, but it seemed very similar as to that, but nobody can tell us why. I've heard a few rumors here and there, but nothing substantial, unfortunately. But we'll keep an ear to the ground, and if I learn anything, I will let you know."
Please do.
Reassuring.
I'd hate for us to have brought something dangerous here to Waterdeep. It came with us.
As you say that, Anthar once again holds out his big grin on his face. Says, well, if they've shown up here, they've come to the wrong place. All of us here," and he kind of motions to the entire room, "can handle ourselves in a fight, as you obviously can. Taking down a dragon, you're going to have to tell me that story."
It tried to fly away.
No, tried. It obviously didn't succeed.
Well, it didn't help that it had its back poked full of holes by Stone Skull mounting it.
As you say that, he claps and says, "Ha! Nothing less I'd expect from you, big man." As the conversation starts to go on, you hear DeGalt kind of slamming his fists down for order onto the large table in front of you all. He says, all right, very well. Seems that we have come to the end of our business here, unless someone has anything else they would like to interject into the conversation."
Nope, you brought up the horn. You cut me off.
Huh?
I was going to bring up the horn from yesterday, and then you immediately talked about it, so I don't got anything.
Not you recommend to do so. And
Only if I
I mean,
get
if
to
you're
tell them
playing your
about
character
their
correctly,
game
you will.
So as everything, nobody seems to have anything to add. DeGalt nods, says, very well. He looks directly at you all. Please do not squander this opportunity that we're all trusting you with. And he kind of motions to the writ. But also, our trust in you, obviously going forward, is more than we give to most. So I hope that you do not disappoint. And with that, he slams his fist down like a gavel onto the table once again. And random people start to get up and leave, heading out of there. Steve!
No, Steve.
And as the meeting begins to conclude, we're going to go ahead and take our 5-minute break real quick because I need to rest my voice.
Yay.
I need another chicken salad sandwich.
I say, I need
Oh, that
another
sounds
beer.
really good.
Yeah, give me one of
Oh, it
those.
is. It's
All
got
right, I'll be right
grapes
back.
and nuts.
So it's a correct chicken salad.
I think
Congratulations.
that was Alexis
I'll be right
saying
back.
something to me.
Yep, same.
Is it red grapes and
Go
walnuts?
away,
Tell
Alexa.
me, Zorn.
Yeah,
Yes.
she.
That's
not
correct.
happy
There we
with me.
go.
Okay, so we're gonna take our 5-minute break. We'll be right back, and when we do, I think we're moving out of Waterdeep, but we'll find out when we get back. Hang around 5 minutes, and then once we return, we'll see where this goes. So, thanks for being here.
We taking a quick break. Wellness center. Cool.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
I have the loudest sandwich known to man.
That's a sandwich?
Right?
Like a Rice Krispie treat. You get potato chips on
Oh
there?
no!
And toast?
Yeah, son. Yeah, son.
He's got
I saw my
crispy,
roommate doing it like an hour ago, and I was like, "What the fuck? I'm gonna get me one of those."
right? What'd you put in some like real crispy pickle chips? So everything snaps as you bite through it. It's like you're eating bubble wrap.
It is delicious. It's like, for the record, my headset's like 5 feet away from my face right now, so that snap's carrying. As it should.
Alright. I think we're about ready to get back to this game. I think we're waiting
That
on...
sandwich was delicious.
We're sitting here listening to Scott's sandwich right now.
It's crunchy.
Why is it crunchy?
Because I put potato chips in it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that you partake in the same thing I do without actually partaking in it somehow.
I got very jealous. I love chicken salad.
It's one of my favorite things to get at some places, but I got it at the Boston Market the other day. Worst chicken salad ever. I think it was mostly the bread they used and the fact that there was like 2 grapes in it and maybe 1 nut.
Oh yeah, they're terrible about not skimping on the good stuff.
The Golden Chick makes their chicken salad sandwiches out of their rolls that they give you at their dinners. So they just take chicken salad and smash it between 2 like sweet rolls. It is so good.
That sounds freaking incredible.
Yeah, if y'all have a Golden Chick, I recommend it.
Yeah, I'm back.
I think
I've never heard of it, but now I'm going to look it up.
Eric's on the phone.
All right, we need to come up with a cool aerial attack for me. Like, I want to do
What?
a dive bomb with my shield and smite somebody, but I want it to be like a combo. Like, I want it to feel like a...
So I'm going to walk up and pick you up like a football and just launch you up in the air. And then as you're like spiraling into the air, you like unfurl your wings and kind of flap up in the air and then just drop the fire on top of them.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I wonder if I can do it without unfurling the wings. Like, you just throw me. Just stabilize, right? Just like kind of glide over top.
Yeah, so like you spiral into the air spinning and then you unfurl your wings long enough to hold yourself over top of everything and then drop the fire on top of them.
strong enough to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stone Skull should just use you as a giant club, and then when you hit, you smite using your face.
I will, and fire. I'm a hold action until my face smacks into something. I'm gonna channel divine energy through my face and out of my mouth in holy fire.
Oh, it's funny.
If only it worked. Rules as written.
Right.
So close, but
It's gonna be like when me and Scott argued that tornadoes should suck up flame and become flame tornadoes.
If present,
Ooh.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nope.
Speaking of which, we haven't done any of our combos yet. We should probably work on those.
I thought we were still waiting on you to gain one more level.
I got Melf's minute meteors, so we're good for the planet extinction one.
Wait, which one was that?
For now, Earth burst.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Apocalyptic combo, let's go.
Suck it, you dinosaurs.
And then Stone Skull just raging, running through it all. Woo! Yeah.
I had something for this.
I feel like in the council that Terra's Cave of Horrors should have been brought up more.
At least once. Like, somebody should have known about this, right?
I mean,
He
truly,
lived to tell the
Leosin,
tale.
who we saved, told somebody what happened.
It's true.
There was all the people were being drug into the cave, and then a tower collapsed. It was crazy.
It was not.
There's one mercenary out there in a bar with PTSD, drinking
Oh,
heavily.
what was our buddy? What was our buddy's
Isn't
name?
he dead?
He's
One
dead,
of them.
yeah.
He's dead now.
But he wasn't one of the guys that went into the cave anyway.
No, but he was there when it happened. Havoc killed him off. Didn't want us to have a reoccurring character.
I thought there was two, and one of them was still reoccurred. Thought one died, and the other one was on the wagon train with us.
He
died,
was, but
then
didn't
he
he
died.
die? Yeah, I was gonna say,
I don't
didn't he
remember
die?
him dying.
Yeah, no. because the
Havoc
other
said,
one had
yeah, the
died
first one
before
died because
that.
I didn't want to have to remember another name.
Yeah.
And then when you
Yeah.
tried to make him a thing, he's like, nope, both are dying.
No, they're both dead. Get them out of here.
Didn't you send him a
Oh,
letter?
shit. I took
Yes,
Thunder
I
Step.
think so.
That's my spell. Oh, crap.
Oh yeah, and I took Dimension.
What's that?
Oh, my fucking god. The spell I didn't know existed until I found it. For one action, I blast over 90 feet and erupt into a space and make creatures do con saves or take thunder damage or half on success. Just like a lightning crackle.
I'm still waiting to get in the middle of everything and say, yeah, just go ahead and hit me. See what happens.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Welcome back.
Father called me. Had to talk to him for a minute.
I'm looking at my HP at
Okay.
almost 100
That's our
and
unit.
have Bear Totem that makes any attacks take half
Alright,
damage.
Everybody's
It's
back then?
just, yeah. Yep.
I had a crispy sandwich.
I heard.
Everyone heard.
Everyone.
I guess that it was
Very
potato
ambitious.
chips before you told me.
Stephanie
My roommate
almost-
actually sent me a message from next door saying, hey, are you eating potato chips?
Yes, I'm doing so as loud as possible.
Which doesn't take much because it's potato chips.
It's potato chips.
Mhm.
Alrighty. So as this meeting begins becoming adjourned and such, Ramalia and Anthar walk over to talk to you, as well as
Yosin.
a couple of people that you just met for the first time here. You see older Raven Guard comes over to specifically speak to Terra and Ignalia, basically offering a slight apology for overstepping his bounds when it came to Skyridge Castle, but more so explaining, like I said, he cares more about the strategic value of it, and that was the only reason he said what he said. But he does understand that it obviously does not belong to him or anyone on this council, unless the Giants were to join it for whatever reason. Ramalia and Anthar mostly just ask more so about your more personal health and such, making sure you're all fine and being treated well. Seem to be a little bit more personable with you as a group than everybody else in the council are, seeing as they've met you before and know of your deeds and have been reporting them to this council before your arrival here.
Where are we going?
With that, everybody seems to be filing out, so you go ahead and follow suit, heading out the small hallway kind of leading into the other chamber. And as you do so, you see everybody that was in the room before has milled out into this very large chamber that you came into originally with Leosin. Leosin standing there next to the area, kind of keeping watch, but also waiting for you all to come out. He wears a bit of a smile as you all come out, seeing that everybody seems to not be ranting and raving against you, so something must have gone right. With that, Ramalia and Anthar bid their adieus right now, saying they need to go mingle for the time being with this crowd of nobles that is all around you. As you're all standing there, kind of looking to the Leosin for guidance and such, I believe it was Max and Ignalia. You see that same noblewoman, once again, not quite into her middle years, still on the younger side of her complexion, begins walking towards you all. And as she does so, she walks up to Ignalia and bows her head slightly towards her. She says, "My name is Dalla Silmerhelv. And she holds out a hand to shake yours.
I return the gesture in kind and grasp her hand.
I do so in turn, I guess. As she offers.
As you do so, greeting her, forgot to open one page of notes. 1 second. As she walks up, she looks at you all and seems to be kind of looking you over, much the same way as what you were being scrutinized, or in the way that you were being scrutinized by the council. And after a few moments of doing that, she kind of moves over to the middle of your group as you're all kind of surrounding her, and she says, "So, I would think that people such as your nature have felt the disturbance yesterday and today." And she kind of looks around questioningly to you all.
Liar.
Yes,
Yeah.
including the instance just now.
With that, she nods. Yes, it sounded once again.
What did?
With that, she kind of looks around. She sees Leosin moving in again. She welcomes him in. Says, "Well, I believe that it's the Drakhorn that is being blown, and that is the sound that we are hearing. We can't hear it per se, but the feeling of its ancient and powerful magic is what's unsettling everyone."
You said it's a horn?
With that, she nods. She says, "Yes, the Drakhorn is an ancient implement, one that's been around for quite a while, and it was actually brought here by Tiamat herself, something she bestowed upon the chromatic dragons."
And who would have access to such a horn?
And what does it do?
She looks over at Stone Skull and kind of raises her hands. I do not know its exact location, only where it was last seen. She turns to Maximilian. She says, "Well, from what I've been able to gather, and I have to apologize, I am not the expert on this item, unfortunately, only what I've been told, but it is an item that beckons and warns dragons and all of dragonkind that danger is approaching, or that a great event is about to unfold. I believe with what little I've been able to gather from your little secret session that you've had," she kind of motions off to the corridor you just came from, "that the cult more than likely has it, and they're using it to summon and rally more of the chromatic dragons to their cause. However, I, once again, do not know exactly where it is. I just know that at one point, the Sea of Moving Ice was the last known location of the Drakhorn. No one can pinpoint its present location from the sound, or even verify with certainty that the relic is still in the Northern Sea. But I think that if someone brave and adventurous, if you know anybody, if they were to search for it, that would be the place to start.
Fresh out of those people.
But this news is truly momentous, though. Surely we should inform someone of the council. They seem that some of the members could use all the persuading that they can get.
And as you say that, you see a bit of a wry grin appear on her face, and she looks directly at Leo's and, "Oh, I have told somebody on the council. Just now." And with that, Leosin kind of raises his eyebrows and smirks back at her. And he says, "If I can be excused, I have some news to deliver." And he steps away, beelining it towards Romalia, off in the distance.
I'm going to look to Max and the others. Should we disperse this information as well?
With that, she kind of raises a hand up and looking around. "I've already sent letters to almost everyone in the council that needed to know. But after hearing of your deeds, I felt that the people that would more than likely be sent there should be the ones to know things first, so that no information was withheld. Unfortunately, with us nobles, you have to realize that we're looking out for our own gains most of the time, and, well, my own gains happen to fall in with your own, so you can trust that I'm being honest with you, whereas someone else may not be."
Well,
Oh.
we will take information under advisement.
With that, she nods. "There's one more thing. There is a person I know of, a sorcerer, a tiefling, known as Mekath the Crimson. No one knows more about the Drakhorn than her. But the Arcane Brotherhood, of which she is also a member, hasn't seen her for 3 years. I sought her out as soon as I realized what was happening, and had a suspicion that the Draghorn was what was causing it. I had learned that she was investigating at the Sea of Moving Ice when she disappeared."
We have work to do with the council, but should our path take us there, definitely something we can investigate further, or should, if given the opportunity.
Welcome, party. Thank you very
With
much
that,
for
she
the host.
opens her hands
Very
up
much appreciate
understandingly.
it. Welcome, Raiders.
Of course, not to direct anyone as to what to do.
Tyranny of
But I figured
Dragons
that
here
you
on
could use the
Forgebreaker.
information more so than anyone else.
Drop them down a little bit. Currently, we are gathering information. We are just now starting the Rise of Tiamat module. For anybody just now joining and has not seen any of our sessions so far, we are only session 2 in. We had just finished meeting with the Council of Waterdeep.
Certainly a curious woman.
And we're attempting to figure out from Dala, I believe it's Silmerheld. We're attempting to gather information about this horn that is being blown, trying to warn the dragons and the dragon cult of things going on in the realm. So, kind of catches you up to date on where we're at. And that's kind of what everybody is up to right now. Again, welcome. I appreciate having each and every one of you here.
I mean, they're related. Places that you're possibly have leads to, but as far as distance between them, a considerable amount.
Yeah. Everybody's still kind of dispersed and amongst themselves.
Yeah, you see members of the council kind of out and about in this large gathering. You see different contingents of livery from different city-states and such gathering around these people. Obviously, you were just speaking to the most powerful people in the room.
Right.
It's even more so distinguished by the fact that people are gathering around them at this point. People with much higher stations than your own, more money than you could ever dream of, are flocking to these people that you were just almost held equal to, for the most part, having a seat on this council alongside them. You do see that Leozen has spoken to Ramalia by this time. And you see a few other people who you can only assume by their manner and the determined look in their eyes are other Harpers, moving around and speaking, if not directly to members of the council, to their right-hand people or people they've brought with them and such, obviously seeming like they're passing on the information immediately about the Drakhorn.
Is there anybody we want to talk to in particular? Any more information we want to try and gather?
I don't have anything in particular, but I feel like the move most likely to be made is definitely go over and schmooze with Boulder in particular.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a smart move on our part to try to get them in with us.
Also, like, I mean, she's just down with the whole concept of, what were his warriors called?
The Flaming Fist.
Flaming Fist.
Yeah, she's all about that. So
Yep,
we're gonna go over there now.
As you're all beginning to look around, seeking out to someone to talk to or nothing else, you did notice a man in the council that wasn't quite sitting at places. You mistook him for a servant at first until you really looked at him. And looking back, as you see the same man approaching you, you see that he wears very fine armor, silver in its complexion, but with gold filigree all through it. He has a very brightly colored purple cloak resting across his back. You see his face obviously has been through many battles, looking a bit hardened and such, though his hair is still brown as the trunk of a tree, though his beard does seem to be graying with age at this point. The most noticeable feature about him, though, however, is that you see when he approaches you, now that he's walking, you see that he's doing so with the aid of a cane. And he approaches up to you and looks around at the group and kind of nods his head once in confirmation. Says, well, we heard plenty about you during the council. I figured I might as well meet you in person, introduce myself properly. And with that, he kind of tucks the cane under his arm, trying not to lean onto it as best he can, and holds out a hand towards Maximilian. Sir Istival.
Yes, yeah, Maximilian.
Everybody give me history checks.
History.
It's gonna.
Let's see how I do with history.
No, not bad.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Not bad, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
17. As you're all hearing this man introduce himself as Sir Istival, Stone Skull, Ignalia, and Terra, through different means, Terra, a story told when she was younger by her father before he vanished. Ignalia, rumors and stories told around the campfire while you were training within the Order. And Stone Skull, warnings brought to you while you were still with your clan and your tribe back in the day. Warned of a Sir Istival and talked about him. You know him as a hero of the Sword Coast. Someone that is well known. You know that he is a Purple Dragon Knight of Cormyr. Very powerful man, and one namely known for being a dragon slayer. Though as you remember somewhat fondly about these stories of this hero in shining armor that would always ride in to save the day, you're left a bit wanting as you see that he's somewhat broken in his appearance now. One of his legs hobbled, obviously from a very grisly looking wound. And as all your eyes kind of trail down as you're looking at him, he kind of looks down and taps his leg with the cane. Says, yes, unfortunately the last dragon I tangled with, which I did kill, left a bit of a reminding mark with me.
I lean over and pull back kind of like the collar of my armor to show like a scarred portion where I got frostbite and died. Kind of peel back like, yeah, the same.
With that, Sir Istival kind of brings a little bit of a grin towards it and nods, and then he holds up his cane, and as you see it a little bit closer, you see that the cane is not made of wood and such. It appears to be bone. And he kind of waves it in the air. He says, well, that green dragon didn't have the last laugh. He still supports me to this day, and slams the cane back down to the ground.
I will actually laugh out loud.
Right, that's a good chuckle.
Byron is definitely chuckling at that.
With that, he nods. He says, I've heard very much about you all, and jokes aside, I definitely did want to meet you. Though I am not officially part of the council, they've included me due to my prior achievements, and I'm here as a representative of Daggerford, of all places. And with that, he kind of rolls his eyes a bit. You all know that Daggerford's just it's a barely call it a village, and
Right.
compared to all these like huge cities and such, it's comical that he's being included in the council because of that.
They needed a reason to get him on there.
Yeah. You know that he's probably included more so because of things like yourselves, you know, being heroes and well-known people for their deeds and such. That being
Right.
said, he goes between you all, shaking your hands and such, and definitely has the bearing of a veteran fighter, somebody that even in his weakened form with a bum leg, seems like a very dangerous person if led
got
to
a
do
grit.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's beefy, beefy grit.
Yeah.
With that, he turns to you all and he says, as much as I would like to be more active in this fight that is brewing, unfortunately, I'm unable to due to my condition, he says with kind of a sour expression across his face. That being said, I hope that yourselves, being the new heroes around these areas now, ones that are getting a name for themselves, can steer and advocate the right decisions going forward. And of course, people like myself and others, kind of motions around to the room, not to anybody in particular, are of course here to support you in doing so. If you have any questions or if you need anything to help you in this fight against the darkness of evil, please let me know. Do not hesitate to ask.
My lord, that is a very kind offer. And if I can say, I see no condition but experience paid for great.
Wouldn't take anything to put a saddle on my back and mount you so that you could ride with us and fight amongst us.
That's awkward.
That's very awkward.
It was a very awkwardly.
It was very awkward. Stone Skull,
yeah.
what are you doing?
Hey, old man, you want to mount Stone Skull? Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks over at Ignalia and kind of smiles and nods to her, then kind of hesitantly smiles at Stone Skull and just kind of nods his head, turning away very quickly towards the rest of the group, and says, yes,
God,
as much as I'd like once
awkward.
again to join the battle, I'm afraid I'd only be a liability, but don't let Unthar hear you say that, or hear me say that. I would never hear the end of it, unfortunately.
I'll laugh and say, you know my lord Onthar.
Once again, with a wry grin, he says, yes, me and that old codger go way back.
God,
I'm
you're
going to groan a little bit and say, well, that makes sense. He is an honorable and boastful man. You two would get along very well.
With that, he nods, says, yes, me and him align a lot of issues and beliefs, what with him being a man of the cloth as well as myself. And you all know that Purple Dragonites are very closely related to Paladins in their beliefs and such. And that he obviously still holds that mantle with pride, even with not being a forefront fighter now. Though you do see a bit of a pained expression whenever he mentions his condition, when he mentions his leg. It obviously weighs on him a bit.
So I'm sure that we will be needing your expertise in the future. I imagine Glaziel won't be the first dragon that we face.
With that, he nods. He says, if nothing else, and he kind of motions down to his leg, Lathander has given me a reminder of the danger of hubris with this, and I'll do anything in my power to make sure that lesson is taught to others without such devastating of a cost.
I don't remember that deity. What does he do?
Lathander, God of the Sun.
Yeah.
I'm getting my pantheons mixed up now. Okay.
Yeah, that's a greater deity, Forgotten Realms.
It's basically Paylor, but this setting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, as he says that, he nods to you all. He says, I hope to be seeing you again soon. Whatever it is you decide to do. I'm already hearing rumors of some kind of blasted horn that's been causing me unsettled issues here lately. Don't know the validity of it, but I'll go see if I can figure something out. And with that, he nods to you all and begins heading off into the crowd, still moving almost with a militaristic step, even with his cane and such.
I will call to him as he walks away and say, "My lord, we'll be in touch to take advantage of your vast knowledge and experience."
Are you fangirling over here?
Oh, yeah. She's all over him.
So with that, he looks back at you and smiles and nods to you, and then disappears once again into the crowd.
I'm gonna shove Max in the ribs and be like, "We need all of these people's help. Fangirl now. Fangirl hard." At least Stone Skull's trying to, let him mount him and stuff. What are you doing?
Hey, listen, that's just a misunderstanding.
Listen,
I'm trying to get
Loincloth.
out of here without any misunderstandings between these people.
All I know is that man over there leads warriors called the Flaming Fist. That's awesome. And that dude has killed more dragons than we've seen, probably.
At least it was a
Absolutely.
misunderstanding in our favor.
So yes, fangirl hard.
I I want to. I don't necessarily want to be in this room much longer.
I don't really want to be in the city much longer. We're ready to go. Let's go.
It gets
So
uncomfortable. Not used to this.
Oh, and I hope you all know we might be going after a worm speaker, but I'm not going to put too much stock in the words of what was the crazy merchant's name again?
Vlagan Morden.
Vlagan.
Yeah. Flagon. We'll take him hostage and get, what we need out of him. You don't need to worry about me poaching a kill needlessly.
Oh, that guy.
It's not needless. And I doubt he'll come.
No, but I still intend to give him every chance.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he'll get one chance. I doubt he'll take it.
So with that, even though only maybe 5 to 15, 10 to 15 minutes have passed since exiting into this room, speaking with Sirius Duvall as well as a few others, you see Leozen approaching from within the crowd, moving up to you, his head kind of covered in sweat. He moves up and kind of leans against the wall next to you and says, "Well, that was some fun news. How have you been in this party? Have you been enjoying it?"
That's a lot to take in.
That it is.
With that, he nods, says, "Well, I've sent some people around to inform the council of this new news about this Drakhorn, and I even asked a few people that are versed in ancient dragon lore, and there is validity to it. I've talked to a few people on the council, not everyone quite yet, so I can't give you anything official from them, but it seems like everyone is in favor of investigating this as well. And unfortunately, we don't have anyone that we can trust going down to see it, so this has kind of fallen into your laps as well, if you so choose to do so, of course."
It's just, I guess, direction on the council's needs.
With that, he shrugs. He says, "Well, if what Lady Silverhelm said is true, they could be rallying many chromatic dragons to their cause, whereas before it seemed like there was maybe a handful at most. If this does bring more to their cause, it could be disastrous for even some place such as Waterdeep. A large-scale dragon attack is not something easily fought against."
So the idea would get to the horn and prevent it from ringing.
With that, he nods. He says that would be the optimal way of doing it, but unfortunately, we don't have any information. With that, he says it with a bit of a grimace on his face, obviously grinding on his nerves a bit to be so informed. With that, he says, but if nothing else, if you could travel to the Sea of Floating Ice to at least investigate it. I've already made the arrangements, if necessary, for travel up there, as well as he kind of looks at your clothes and such. And all of you are wearing, armor and cloth and stuff like that are appropriate for moderate climates. But you all know that the Sea of Moving Ice is somewhere, even if you're only vaguely familiar with it, is an Arctic wasteland. Place covered in just icebergs and things of that nature. And with that, he says, I've prepared clothing and attire necessary for such a voyage if need be. Oh, and a boat as well.
So, from mounted on top of her golem's shoulders, Tara's going to say, well, which do you think we should go after first? The White Dwarf or this moving sea of ice?
With that, he kind of opens his hands up a bit placatingly. He says, honestly, my friends, I do not know. They seem of equal importance, and honestly, I think, depending on your travel and your haste and your survivability, both objectives should be able to be completed without either one of them slipping out of our grasp. So, myself, as well as at least a few others of the council, agree that it's up to your discretion.
Well, I believe it would be better to take care of this horn now instead of trying to take out the dragons one by one. If they manage to regroup and bring all of the dragons together, it's going to be way too much for us to be able to take on.
I agree, but if this horn is calling dragons, shouldn't we expect dragons where we're going?
We should, but the longer we allow it to continue, the worse this is going to get, and the more will continue to show up.
Yes, but the longer we wait on the White Dwarf, the further and more time he has to find his mask.
For that reason, I think I agree on the dwarf.
Horn.
So if we take into consideration what we now know that the first mask did for Agmanthar, it's possible that them having these masks is the true threat, and their ability to call them, or whatever the horn's doing, is not really important without them.
If nothing else, we might be able to use track down the mask and use it ourselves. Counter whatever magic that they're using.
At least with the white ones.
Yeah.
Well, I think, just gaining intel and speed, I bet we can get to the worm speaker and finish that faster, potentially, than what it might take to track this horn down.
But we learn from Rezmir. We secure the mask, and then if he doesn't accept, we take his life.
He doesn't have it.
If he has it, though. If he finds it. I don't want a repeat scenario with Rezmir.
Let's hope that he doesn't find it, because if he does, he most likely will go back underground.
Yep.
Yeah. He's the one that seems to have a window. It's the only really solid intel we have anyway.
So,
Really
all for going after the White Dwarf?
Yeah.
A bit reluctant at first, knowing what's at stake with allowing them to continue to gather the dragons. Stone Skull just nods in agreement and says, I'll follow you wherever you need me.
When that kind of grabs Stone Skull, it's like, no, we're going to need you. We agree that we can't get through this. No, we can't allow the dragons to gather. That just means we're gonna have to dispatch anyone who gets in our way quickly, and just kind of jab them on the arm. We're gonna need you for that.
When all of those dragons gather, who else will carry Istanbul onto the battlefield?
I don't think Gleam Edge has tasted its last bit of dragon blood.
This is true.
All right. After the white dwarf, it is.
After the white dwarf, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So as the party reaches a consensus saying that they're going to track Varam the White first before investigating the sea of moving ice for the Drakhorn, Leosin nods. He says, "Very well. I'll have everything prepared for your journey towards the village of Borsker Bridge tomorrow. You'll have the rest of the day." And kind of looks up. So it's a little bit past midday by this point. To do as you will, prepare yourselves. It will be a bit of a journey, but nothing I'm sure you're not used to now after your journey from Waterdeep north as well.
Yeah.
Stone Skull. Mr. Pebbles wants to know if you want to pass the time wrestling him.
I would hate to have to accidentally destroy your rock beast, though.
Oh, he'll be fine.
So yeah, we'll do that then, as we're passing
Alright.
time.
Alrighty, so I'm imagining nobody else has anything they really want to do here.
I will go catch up with Onthar at some point.
Aside from finally going to gather the horse and wagon when it's ready, that's the only other thing I got.
Okay. Alright. Yes, so Ignalia, you're able to seek out Onthar and find him. I already talked to Dad. Mom can wait.
If Onthar's dead, who's mom?
Yeah, right. Probably Romalia, but that's
Yeah.
You find Onthar talking with a few other people around him. You recognize all of them as members of the Order. He greets you with open arms, much the same as he's really talked to you and treated you ever since you moved up in the ranks within the Order. Still being fairly high and such as far as rankings are concerned in there. He asks once again, just like him and Romalia did during the meeting, making sure you're well. Asks a lot of fatherly questions, things like are you eating correctly, and the road hasn't been too hard on you and such. Seems very welcoming, very happy to see you and such.
I spend most of the time groaning. Yeah, thank you for
Yes,
all of that.
Dad.
I just wanted to I just wanted to confirm for you that things have been well. I've had a great deal of control in the past few months.
With that, Onthar nods, seeing have a bit of a thoughtful look on his face. That's good, that's good. As you get stronger, you should not have to worry about control anymore, I would hope. Obviously, up to this point, you've had a lot of practice with your new friends.
And yes, they've given me quite a few trials to overcome. And also, a few displays of devotion. I reach under and I pull up the scabbard and I show to him.
With that, he looks at it, and his eyes gleam a bit as he looks at it. He says, devotion indeed. That must have been quite a trial that you went through to be blessed with such an implement.
I just knock on the white dragon scale at the center of the armor.
Daddy nods and demands to hear your story about the dragon, and I assume you tell him a little bit about your fight with Glaziel the Cloud Chaser, which of course he just eats the hell up because Onthar's all about that shit.
I actually give him one of the white dragon scales I have remaining.
With that, he
So
smiles.
I figured
and
he would
takes
want
it.
that.
He's all excited about it. He's super excited to have this and everything. He says, don't worry. I'll find one even bigger, and I'll bring you one of its scales for you later on.
Okay, oh good. I would like to make some armor to match Stone Skull's horse next.
So you continue your conversation with him, really just catching up and everything with essentially an old friend.
And did they use the star charts? God damn it.
He does admit they didn't have really anybody in the Order, unfortunately, that could make any use of them. Didn't have any stargazers and such, people with that particular career, I guess.
It's
Within
called
the order of the
outsourcing, Dad.
but he says that he was able to reach out to a few people within Waterdeep that were so-called astrologists, and if nothing else, they offered quite a bit of coin for the star charts, and it's something that's being used within the order to fund things. And he says that if you need a piece of it, he's willing to offer you if necessary.
No, I shrug. My entire thought was how it could potentially benefit the order. So if that's its end, then that's fine.
Yeah, he basically says it was if nothing else, something very good to establish relationships with these, albeit somewhat eccentric people, but relationships nonetheless. Now that they now have ties into it if need be, if it's something they ever need.
Potentially hold on to one of them as a potential warming gift for some of the more inclined members of the council, perhaps.
I kind of nods as possibly it could be something that we look into at some points. There are some scholars on the council, as well as some others that are possibly being brought in. We'll know the next time we reconvene.
I'll nod.
With that, your incursion within this large manor hall seems to start to grate on everybody. Really, up until this point, for the last couple months, you really haven't been around a lot of people, and especially not people such as these. You see a lot of fawning nobles, politicians, and just generally unsavory people for those that have any kind of moral sense. So, you decide to excuse yourselves. A few people coming up and speaking to you and such here and there. Most of them just wanting to know who the hell you are and what are you doing here. Especially Stone Skull, who's kind of dressed less than cordially for the rest of the people here based on that. But with that, you all decide to retire, some of you to your rooms to rest and such, as well as prepare for the knowing that you're going to be setting off for a somewhat long journey on the morrow. Stone Skull ventures out, heading back down into the mercantile where he procured with a couple different people with a wheelwright as well as a stableman for his new warhorse, as well as his y'all's new wagon that you'll be able to use for transport. Stone Skull, as you come up, you see the man is kept good on his word. He has made some very good armor for this horse. It looks, as you're looking at it, everything, it seems to match the furs and such that you're now wearing. You see straps of black have been painted across it in varying forms and such. You see some red lines, and as you kind of look at it closer, you see they almost seem to mimic some of the scars that you wear across your chest. Seems that he took a little artistic pleasure in designing this for you.
Yes.
But after being paid and such, he offers it to you, and then you're able to retrieve this wagon from the wheelwright as well, that is easily pulled by your single horse, it not being super large, able to hold a good amount of stuff within it, but probably not the most comfortable thing to ride in, even though it does have a little bit of the heavier shock system that you would expect from not wagons, but
stagecoach.
Yeah, stagecoach carriage thing, which I told you before, it was a renovated stagecoach that would turn into a traveling one. So
say what? This horse got hydraulics? How
How
many horsepower is this horse?
Air ride suspension with 1 HP.
And with that, you're able to bring that back to the stables near the Lord's Palace, where it's completely taken care of for you. Kind of awkwardly hand off the reins to this horse to a young kid who's obviously manning the stables here. Probably being paid decent money and such, but takes care of your horse rather, and then putting the carriageway as well, promising that they'll be ready for you at first light in the morning.
Okay. To the bar. Actually, I don't even have to do that. I just set the tanker down, and what's the command word? Guinness.
There's no way you don't take that to the bar.
Oh, I absolutely take it to the bar, and I try to make money out of it. I walk up to people, and I'm like, I bet I could get this glass to fill without anybody coming and getting it from me.
Depends on what bar you go to. see how that plays out for you. I mean, Waterdeep has a famous bar that you've been to before.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that it's a very large city. There's obviously a multitude of them to select from if you chose to do so.
All right. So what else are we doing tonight? Anything? Aside from going to the bar.
I'm gonna come with as a more guardian than anything.
Okay.
He's gonna be the adult chauffeur.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the chaperone.
Where are you going?
What were the names of the bars? Because we weren't going to the yawning portal.
We're not going to the yawning portal.
No, we're going somewhere else.
We're not
going to the yawning
like,
portal.
Look, we'll just have a few drinks, go down into the Underdark for a second.
It's in and out. Quick 20 minutes. It's fine.
20-minute adventure.
3 years later. So many mind flayers.
Like a dragon, we all have just big bushy beards growing off our faces. Why?
Including Tara.
Including the 2 women.
Come back out, like Waterdeep's gone. You're like, what the fuck happened here? You see a 5-headed dragon flying across the sky.
We start digging through the bags, like putting rings and stuff on. Like, all right, we're finding dragons.
Let's go.
We start quickly min-maxing.
Yeah, we're like,
No, that's what we were doing in the Underdark. We were getting ready for this battle.
We're min-maxing for this battle.
All
Hey, you
right,
guys have all that Dragon Slayer equipment? Yeah, it's here somewhere.
If you're looking for a bar, I mean, whoever's looking for it, roll me a. Give me a D10.
That's definitely gonna be the first on the place. The paperwork.
All right.
Like, oh, no,
what is it?
I am
D10 you
I'm
said?
good.
Yep, D10.
Okay. Yeah, I got this. Here.
You
Paperwork.
can do it.
Alright.
Yeah.
This will be interesting. Okay,
The yawning
so
portal.
as you're
Literally the
walking
yawning
around
portal.
Waterdeep, after reclaiming your supplies and such, and getting the horse and the carriage brought back, you decide to set out on the town with Maximilian. Anybody else joining?
Terrible.
Yeah, I meet up with them eventually.
Okay. As you make your way across the town, looking around, you see a lot of hullabaloo going off ahead of you, and as you walk up the street, you see what appears to be a bar, and you hear joyous music coming from within it, loud instruments and such going on. Let's get some mood music going here.
Oh, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Darkest Dungeon
Definitely.
starts playing.
Mm-hmm. What's that? Combat? Okay, I am so in the mood for combat.
Bar fight. Bar fight.
Bar fight.
So
I mean,
as you
I'll
walk
get-
forward, just kind of joyous music pouring out of this this tavern as you walk forward. You see it's just surrounded by a crowd of people. Almost looks like it'd be almost impossible to go into. But as you move forward, especially with Stone Skull leading the way, you see several of these normal-sized people, humans and a few half-elves and stuff, looking up at Stone Skull, kind of start parting the seas, as it were, allowing him passage through, and thus the rest of the group as well. You make your way forward, and you see a sign hanging above this tavern with its open-air kind of atmosphere, not really having a door and such for it. It almost looks like this place was a remodeled forge. And as you're looking up at the sign, you see what appears to be a large turtle shell rests upon it. And in common, it's written above and below it, "The Round Turtle" is the name of this tavern. As you make your way inside of it, you look around, you see things you would expect from a bar. You see a lot of people dancing and singing along with a couple of bards that are playing some music in the background. You see a few card games going on, some wrestling competition, or not necessarily, arm wrestling rather, competitions going on. You see one oddity, though, as you look back behind the counter. Where you expect to see a normal barkeep, you see what appears to be an enlarged turtle that seems to be manning the bar.
Yes.
This
no.
creature appears to be no less than 7 feet tall, 4 or 5 feet wide, standing behind the bar. A very sullen look on his face as he looks around the bar, looking kind of tired, even though he moves very with the precision of a practiced barkeep.
Hey, Spinach, how you doing, bud?
Right.
Does he have fingers?
Yes. They have 3 fingers. Have you not watched Ninja Turtles?
Tara hasn't watched anything.
Have you never met a turtle before?
Only Makoa.
I just head over to the bar and sit down immediately, trying to ignore it to the best of my ability, and say, barkeep, a round of drinks. It's time to celebrate. Oh crap!
As you say that, the barkeep
Terrible
turns his
kid.
head, and with this neck that protrudes out of this very large shell, you see his head kind of slowly turn to the side.
I'll
and
pay
then
double.
looks at you, and he says, "Never heard that one before. What do you be having?"
What do you recommend?
For you, he reaches over and you see a barrel that seems to be kind of crusted over with mold and such. My best stuff, and he slaps like a 4-finger claw on top of it. The piss ale.
Whatever you're offering him, I want the exact opposite of, please.
I was gonna say, what do you offer to people that you like?
Give me a persuasion check.
Oh hey. Wow. Yeah, okay. For the one time.
Once again, raises his hand up and slaps
Okay,
it back.
I
on the
deserve
shoulder
this.
table, and he says, "The piss ale again,
Drink
friend."
up.
Alright. Fine. I reap what I sow. Or
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I just put the money down and I give him a generous tip.
As you lay down a silver piece, he flicks it back towards you. He says, No. It's a copper."
I give him the silver piece.
With that, he shrugs and he hands you this thing, and it looks like there's shit floating around inside of it. It does not look good. It does not smell good. He slides it up to you, and you see a bit of a no teeth or anything in this like beak-like mouth grin as he turns to Stone Skull. Says, "For you, my friend," and he motions over to the other end of the bar to another big, large cask sitting up on a stand. He says, "This is a dwarven ale. Fairly good."
Fairly good. What do you have that's really good?
With that, he kind of shrugs. He says, "Honestly, the dwarven ale is probably the best here. We're here to get people drunk, not to sample fine wine, my friend."
You and I have very different definitions of drunk, and I drop down the tankard on top of the table, not saying the command word, and say, "Go ahead and fill her up."
With that, he shrugs and grabs it and takes it over, opening up the cask and funneling it in there and shoves it back to you. So there'll be 2 silver pieces.
Okay.
That better be good stuff.
I go ahead and I'll hand him 3, 1 for his trouble.
That he nods, and once again, everything he does seems to be like he should be lumbering much slower than he actually is, moving very deftly, grabbing your money and shoving it into a pouch at his side before going back and cleaning glasses. He starts to look around at anybody else that showed up.
Yeah,
Well-
Tara's gonna jump up on her stool and lean over onto the bar. I'll have one of what the big guy's having.
With that, he looks down at Tara and nods. Very well. Pulls out some more of this dwarven ale and fills up a glass and sets it in front of Tara.
I'll slide him 3 silver as well.
With that, he nods and definitely takes it away. Fuck off, Forge. It's enough puns in one night.
I look at them and just say, yeah, it's a pretty nice atmosphere, but not much of a selection. And I just glare at him as I drink the awful beer.
He just grins back at you, knowing that as you take this, give me a con saving throw.
I would like to point out that I was trying to boil it earlier. 6.
Oh, jeez.
As you start to drink this, it doesn't taste. It's not the worst thing you've ever ingested. It does not taste good, but it's not terrible.
Wait, hold on. What could possibly be worse than piss ale?
No. Listen.
I did eat those centipedes in that cave that one time.
They were pretty good. As you begin to drink this, like I said, the taste isn't terrible until you start feeling solids mixed in with your drink, and you look down at it. You see there apparently are insects that are still alive mixed in with your ale.
Hmm.
You kind of just look at it. And,
No.
I check the species. Are they edible?
Oh,
yeah,
no.
they're all edible. Protein,
Crunch.
I guess.
Yeah, run. Protein.
You get a very sour taste in your mouth as you do so, knowing that these insects are probably not meant to be eaten.
No, that's
but at the same
so
time, you go ahead and crunch
bad.
on through. It is not a good
No.
experience for you. You definitely do not want to order the piss ale again.
No, but I do it just to show him that I could.
With that, he shrugs. Doesn't really care.
No.
Tara's going to turn to Stone
It's even
Skull
worse.
and put her mug out for a cheers.
And happily tap her mug with the tankard and drink up.
Both of you give me perception checks. Oh wait, no. Stone Skull, give me a perception check as you begin to drink this.
Okay.
Tara is also chugging hers.
Okay. And both of you give me con saves.
Okay. Though you didn't tell me what that perception check did.
Nope.
Just
So as you both cheers off with your glasses, raising them up to your lips, Stone Skull, your eyes kind of wander past your glass as you're beginning to tip it up, and you see this turtle looking back towards you, and you see his mouth is open in just a huge grin as you begin to drink. And as this liquid hits your mouths, there is an intense burning sensation. This is not ale. You have been lied to. This is some kind of hard liquor that can only be described as something that burns you. It has a texture, or not a texture, a taste of wine to it. You kind of remember stories of fire wine being something like this. It scalds both your throats as it goes down, but as it enters your stomach, you feel just this warmth spreading through your entire body. Yeah, it's essentially fireball. The heat just spreads from your stomachs all through your body. You feel just like an overwhelming sense of relaxation crossing across you as you drink this wine. And with that, you hear the turtle kind of chuckling. I told you it was the finest here.
immediately, as soon as I finish, I'm going to slam down the tankard and say, "Bring more of that."
Tara's
he-
gonna,
I
yeah,
said
yeah,
cast
more.
fireball.
The room's only so big. I'm sorry, did I say anything about how big it was?
I didn't ask how big the room
Did I
was.
stutter?
So yeah, for brevity's sake, yeah, you all get fucking sloshed. Who else is there? Anybody?
Well, I'm not drinking.
Oh, okay.
Max and Steve are pretty quiet, so I'm assuming they're not drinking tonight.
No,
Okay.
I'm just watching.
Yeah, so you all, the two of you that aren't drinking, are able to enjoy this masterpiece of design that is the fire wine that they are ingesting. Ignalia is welcome to it after stomaching one glass of this piss ale. You all enjoy it. You know this is some of the best stuff you've ever had, if not exactly for the taste, just because it is an intense burning sensation. Not a whole lot of taste to it, but the sense of relaxation and the burning feeling just makes you just want to go back for more, over and over and over again.
Oh, thank God. It feels like it's sterilizing whatever that was in that piss water.
It probably
Yes.
is. Yeah, so everybody that's drinking just gets fucking sloshed. It does not take a whole lot either. Within a couple hours or so, y'all are just out there. This stuff does not waste time in getting you drunk. You're able to join in on dancing parties, and Stone Skull and probably Ignalia get into arm wrestling competitions and such, winning and losing in equal parts. Stone Skull only really losing because of the drunkenness of his state at this point.
All right, let's have a quick bracket right now between four of us.
Yeah,
I'll
Stone
arm
Skull.
wrestle with you.
All right,
Ladies first.
ladies first. All right,
Ladies
so
first.
strength check.
Opposing strength checks.
Oh,
Oh,
So as Tara and Ignalia line up on the table, both of them just grinning at each other. Tara kind of looking a few inches off to the left from Ignalia's face, unfortunately. Both of you just wobbling as you kind of rest your elbows on the table, raising your arms to wrestle each other. You both struggle, both of your elbows raising off of the table as you start pushing against each other very awkwardly. And then finally, Tara's feet come out from underneath her, and she falls backwards as she's pushed to the ground by Ignalia.
I barely hold on and just kind of like choke back. a disgusting feeling from the drink. I miss those centipedes.
At this point, I'm going to reach down and separate them and keep them apart.
They're both just laughing at this point. They're fucking sloshed.
All right, who's fighting Stone Skull? Is it you, Willie? You should do it.
I mean,
No.
I can. It was supposed to be Steve. He's drinking.
Should. Someone has to arm wrestle him. Either that is going to be a random NPC.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be Steve because drinking as well.
Yeah, he's drinking as well.
Steve and Stone Skull opposing strength chicks.
Strength athletics or just strength?
Oh, strength.
Okay.
You're gonna win.
Oh, look at this.
So Stone Skull, looking over Steve, kind of, being somewhat quiet as is characteristic to him all night, just enjoying the fire wine. You see a bit of a smile crossing his face. So it's a little weird for Steve. He always seems to have kind of a somber air about him. But as the night progresses, you see him just kind of enjoying the atmosphere and such, the music and the fire wine and everything. And with that, Stone Skull walks up and very drunkenly, kind of barely keeping his feet up, walks up to Steve and, you want to wrestle, arm wrestle, talks him into it. Finally, Steve, kind of hesitantly moves over and looking up at Stone Skull just collapses into this chair, the chair creaking underneath his huge bulk. But with that, they both rest their arms on the table. Steve being able to keep up for the most part with stature-wise with Stone Skull, being a Dragonborn. Stone Skull just laughing and having a grand old time, raises his hand up and clasps it against him. A bit of serious air crosses his face for just a moment before the alcohol begins to take over again. And at that instance, that's when the referee yells start. And at that point, immediately Steve slams Stone Skull's hand down with not even a close to bit of a fight.
Lightning fast. Cobra.
What just happened?
That wasn't fair. Do it again. Again.
As you say that, the barkeep walks over and starts to push you out of the seat. No do-overs, get out of here. Go back and get some more wine.
Did you hiccup? You're like,
Do
one more a time.
Do
I'm good.
again.
So the night
Alright, come
continues
over here and
on.
arm wrestle this tank here.
All right, Steve, you got to fight me for the title now.
So he brings Signalia and Steve in. All right, for all the marbles, both of you sit down. The last against the Dragon Man. Let's go.
There's marbles? Okay. Yeah!
Oh.
So it is an intense battle between these two, but Ignalia, feeling just this natural presence of fire throughout her entire body from this fire wine, embraces it and feels emboldened because of it, and is able to push against the much larger arm and hand of this Dragonborn that she's facing off against. And after a few minutes of them going back and forth, Ignalia is finally able to just stop playing around with him and slams Rogar's hand down to the ground, winning the competition. The bar erupts in cheers and music begins playing again as it kind of had stopped during this competition.
When she does so, does she do the whole, like, as she pins the arm, like, stands up, like her arms out at her side immediately? Like the whole taunting motion, like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an arms out. Do a 360.
I did it.
No, she's flexing the arm. She's got some little fire erupting from the hand. There is smoke
Ignalia
billowing.
just spins around, and smoke billowing off her armor, and she just yells, "Witness me!"
I claim
Are
that
you
the
not
Pistale needs
entertained?
strength and watch stupider patrons go to get some.
And a few do.
And then falls over.
Dumbasses.
So as the night progresses on, leading late into the evening, well after midnight, you find yourselves finally stumbling back with a few servants from the Lord's Palace leading you back, wanting to make sure you get back to your rooms, being charged with your escort, if nothing else, with Maximilian, of course, assisting with this. But you're able to make it back to your lodgings within the Lord's Palace with some help and rest off the booze until the next morning.
Yeah. Yay.
I have nightmares.
Celebrations.
For hangovers.
Right.
All right.
I
I
should
need
get
a
some
break.
coffee ready.
I'll be right back.
Oh, 5-minute break?
Well, maybe not 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. I need a beer.
Okay. Yep. That's
More
fine.
drink. Maybe
Yeah,
another
yeah,
crunchy sandwich.
Oh god.
Let's go short break. We're just going to say starting soon because we don't know how long it's going to be. Thank you guys for being here, though. Appreciate each of you being here tonight. If you don't already do so, give us a follow. Obviously, that helps anytime that we can get followers and people that
I like the way they
want
kind
to
of
return and kind of hang out.
Forge.
with
I
us.
like the way that like the Twitch thing, like I don't know what that away screen is or whatever. Like it's crackling.
Oh yeah, I made an overlay for the screen, so it's like a video that replays, and it looks like an old school TV, kind of losing focus.
Yeah, that looks. When I like how it like kind of turns on and off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a big looping video that continues just over and over again. Oh no. My headset's going dead. Got to plug it in. That's unfortunate.
Okay, I have beer.
You have the beer?
Yeah, his throat was starting to hurt after a little bit. Whew. I should have known better than give y'all a bar. You know, we're gonna run with that shit.
You already knew.
I
You already knew.
found the
Did you guys
tavern
hear me
name
eating
later.
chips from the other room?
We did. It was loud. Stop it.
No. There are 7 more.
One.
That was like half one. Now it's 7.
I feel like every time that you ask her,
Do what?
Good talk.
and said every time you ask Tara to roll something she's proficient in, she rolls a 3.
Yeah.
Pretty much how it works.
And every time you roll me to, you ask me to roll perception, I do phenomenally well, but some asshole in this party will do one better than me.
I was impressed by Steve's freaking strength rolls. So like 18,
Two in a
Stone
row.
Skull, 2 in a row 18s, and then nat 20 comes out of nowhere.
I wasted a nat 20 on a bar fight.
Not even a bar fight, an arm wrestling match.
An
Mhm.
intra-party arm wrestling match.
Yeah.
What, are we starting an intramural sport now?
Yeep.
Co-ed arm wrestling.
Well, definitely. Look at us.
Let's see where this is. Okay. Alrighty, so. I'm gonna drink a beer. Okay, so as you all wake in the morning, most of you pretty hungover. That fire wine with some good shit. You don't feel too well, but you're able to get some water and some herbs within you. Kind of stifle off the hangover as best it can. You're all a little bit groggy from staying up all night. No, both your con saves, you have hangovers. Let's see. Go ahead and transfer you over here so we can see.
Oh, we get a new map?
So, as you know, you are currently residing in the city of Waterdeep. Approximately here-ish. I misspoke earlier. Boister's Bridge is actually down to the south, past Dragon Spear and the Trollbark Forest. So as you're told about this, Leo's stopping by once again in the morning, albeit briefly, to let him know that your wagon has been loaded with provisions and such to make the journey down. You'll have to go along the tradeway for a little ways, making your way down towards the Trollbark Forest, and then he kind of pulls out a map and he says, just past Dragon Spear, approximately there is where the village of Boister's Bridge lies. And that is the last place that they heard sightings of Varum the White. And that is where you're being instructed to head off to maybe capture him, find him, or at the very least get some more information about where he may be.
Yeah. Do it.
So with that, anything else that y'all would like to do in the morning in Waterdeep? Are you ready to set off on your new adventure?
Load up,
Ready.
roll out.
Yeah.
Spend too
We've
much
said our
time
goodbyes.
among civilized folks.
Yeah, time to get
Time-
back out in the open.
Time to get uncivilized
Yeah,
again.
no, Tara doesn't
Stretch
like
our
things,
wings.
so she's ready to go.
Aha. I see what you did there. Let's see. So it's going to take y'all a little while to get down there. It's not quite the adventure that you had before, leading from Baldur's Gate all the way up to Waterdeep, but it'll take you a couple weeks to get down there. We are not going to do much like the last module. You're not going to have to suffer through every day, or even multiple days. What all I'm going to do is take you to major places and have you roll for random encounters up to that point, so maybe I'll get some combat in.
Okay.
So, as you're making your way, it takes you about 3 days or so to depart from Waterdeep and head down towards the small village of Daggerford, where you know where the old fort of Daggerford lies as well, outside the village. On your way there...
Is that the one that we talked about coming back to, or is that Dragonspear? Which one was the fort that was abandoned?
It was Dragonspear.
Dragonspear, yeah. Actually, I misspoke. Yeah, Daggerford's a small village. Dragonspear is the old fort.
Mm-hmm.
You know that this place lies southeast of Dragonspear that you're venturing off to. But on your way to Daggerford, before you reach there, Ignalia,
there.
roll me a d20.
Uh-oh. I apologize in advance, everyone.
No, we want
What?
combat.
Hey, roll bad. Whatever bad is.
It's apparently maybe not bad.
We're good. We'll see.
17, that's like a
three.
rock, right? ROC.
A literal rock.
A literal
they fall.
Phase
and
spiders.
You all die.
No,
Why die?
it's only a CR like 12 or something.
No, this is a DM rock. They
Oh,
fall.
I see.
You
It has plot armor and it
Yeah.
has spite added to all of its attacks. Yeah.
It has pun armor, actually. Unfortunately, this is your just desserts. It was not
Listen,
over
bird
yet.
brain.
Creature monsters. Okay.
Hey, we got combat.
Make sure I don't kill you all, but we'll see what happens.
It's okay if you kill us. Yeah, I mean it's really not, but it's
Whoa.
okay.
Whoa.
It's okay.
Calm down. That's why I said night goblin. With plenty of room to spread out.
Well, you guys might die.
Okay. Well, my drag and drop's not working. You'll have to give me one extra moment here.
I didn't hear drag and drop. I heard that dragon. I was like, I rolled real well, guys.
I did it.
I did it.
I did the thing you wanted.
Alright, there you go.
Alex just waiting for a dragon that he doesn't forget about legendary resistances for.
Yeah.
And we die.
Yeah, right. Look, if we fought that dragon at full strength, I mean, if we go toe to toe,
I don't know.
Right.
I think we would have won. It would have sucked, but we would have won.
Yeah. I agree. It would have been really hard, but I think we would have been okay. More concerned with the legendary than anything else.
that just means you gotta throw more stuff at it
Mm-hmm.
until something sticks.
Yep.
And number 17 is night.
No! Shit.
What?
What?
I broke him.
Uh-oh.
I didn't copy what I wanted to copy.
Game's broken.
No,
We
shit.
have to fight Blagakis. Random encounter. Giant.
Okay, this will be
Giant
fun.
random
By fun, I mean I'm glad we have 45 minutes left.
Yes. Yes.
Yas.
Yes.
You keep saying that. I can't wait for y'all to see this screen.
Oh, we'll see it.
Okay then. So, as you're making your way south of Waterdeep, you
feeling
notice
when
the
you're
tradeway, compared to when
bear
you were
totem.
there before, seems to be very sparsely populated. In fact, in the 3.5 days or so that you've been traveling, you've seen one other wagon, not even a caravan, a single solitary wagon, surrounded by 5 or 6 guards, making its way north towards Waterdeep. You notice that the guards seem
Time
to
to
be
die, chat.
pretty
Time to die.
worse for wear. Not necessarily dying and such, but they've obviously seen a little bit of rough and tumble coming up this way. And as you're crossing paths with them, they actually completely ignore you and keep passing on, not wanting to even speak with any of you. As you continue on, however, you don't see much else until you come up to a part of the road, and as you look in front of you, you see what appears to be a barricade of some sort lies before you, blocking this large swath of the tradeway. And as you're looking forward, you don't see much in the bushes around you, as well as the few scattered trees, until you start seeing a bunch of smaller figures moving, and then more of them, and then more of them.
As I'm filling these, I'm
Do what now? Yeah, I'm assuming you had your golem out already.
out where you were traveling. He's out now, though.
Okay. You feel, Tara feels a multitude of people or figures moving in front of her, in front of the group. The rest of you see a large amount of kobolds, as well as a few lizard folk moved in with a very savage look about them. And then you all see what appears to be a very large dragonoid, which appears to be a half-dragon, albeit this one is red in its coloration. He walks forward, wielding what appears to be a large long sword, as well as a short sword in his hand. As he moves forward, he very nonchalantly rests the long sword across his shoulder, standing behind the barricade before walking around it, the kobolds and lizard folk moving around to block your way. He says, "In the name of the cult of the dragon, I demand you halt. Give me everything you have of value, and you can go about your way with your lives."
As he's saying that, I'm gonna reach back and just lock the brakes on to the wagon, and then reach forward and just slowly start to unfasten the clasp for the saddle, and just kind of grin at him.
I imagine, in like a not slow motion, but we're not in a hurry as we kind of dismount out of the wagon. So you really should be careful letting everyone know who you're affiliated with, because you made a mistake today.
As you say that, you see this half-dragon kind of opening his hands up, motioning out around him. "What could you possibly do to stand against our might? The cult will own all of this land very shortly. You might as well save yourself the trouble. Give me everything you have of value and go."
As he's talking, I immediately just kick back on the horse and charge straight for him and pull out the great sword and get ready to make a swipe in his direction.
Okay, you'll get 5 feet forward, and everybody roll for initiative. So they were ready for combat. You aren't surprised.
Yeah.
What was Glazeal's title again, by the way?
The Cloud Chaser.
Cloud Chaser.
I made this breastplate from Glazeal the Cloud Chaser. You'll make a sock.
No! Why?
Why a
I tried
5?
so hard. I prayed to the dice gods before I hit the button, and you still did it.
Why a 5?
What do you mean?
Oh shit, did I not make an insult?
Zoran, what's wrong? I don't understand. What the fuck?
How?
Everybody but me. Literally.
I would just like to say that is the highest initiative I have ever rolled in this campaign.
Okay, I gotta figure out how the hell I'm gonna do it. Okay, so
damn near everybody is in 20s, and I'm like,
Hey, Zoran.
never mind. I'll just hang out back here.
You know what we're doing, right? It's time.
No.
No, no.
I want to not whisper. There we go.
Yeah. This is gonna be fun.
Alright, so we're gonna do. Okay, so this is gonna be 1.
This is gonna be fun.
And this is gonna be 1. Okay. This guy. Damn it. Whispering as well. Okay. Let's get the mood music going.
Do it.
What's one I haven't done before?
Doesn't matter. They're all
Come
gonna
on.
die.
This song is perfect for how it's about to go down. Like, don't mind us, just murdering everything.
It's fine. This is fine.
Sorcery points? Magnolia? Yes.
What?
Oh, it's gonna be a big one. There's a big apocalypse.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know exactly what you're planning, but
Oh, good thing I go in front of you.
Whatever it is, do it.
well, if it's what I'm thinking of, you have to go before me.
So, as alright, that one's there, that one's there. Can't remember. I know where I am. Okay. So mass combat rules are in effect on my side, just so y'all know. A lot of these guys are going to be moving on the same turn.
Yes.
So, as Stone Skull just skips all of the pleasantries and begins to charge forward, Steve, you are the first to react.
All right. Well, you want something valuable, right? Spend them.
Insightful fighting on that guy.
Yeah, insightful fighting.
You got it.
All right.
But does he meet your rapier?
You don't have advantage, unfortunately, and a 14 is not going to hit.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. So as you move, Steve moves forward. He watches this half-dragon's movements as he wields this long sword and short sword in either hand, getting a read on how he moves and everything. But as he lunges out, he's able to just miss catching into the chest of this half-dragon. And he's able to dodge the attack. Maximilian.
I am going to unfurl my wings and take flight.
Okay.
I'm going to move 20 feet up, but I guess it's 10 feet forward, right? Like in an arc. I just want to move a little bit closer.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that.
And then... What is it? 20 feet. I am going to... This looks like a good spot. I'm going to cast Shatter.
Is it 10 feet?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's this? That's a con save?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hitting 1, 2, 3.
That
Oh, come on, I forgot.
would that be right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so 4 kobold, 1 lizard folk. Gotcha. Kobolds.
5 kobolds.
I'm pretty sure you have higher than a 13 or a 14.
Yeah, 16.
Oh, well, one's gonna survive. Lizard folk.
Let's yet to be seen. Let's not get
All right. Okay, so 1 person saved out of that group.
I need to. I forgot my spell.
This
was
guy.
supposed to-
Mm-hmm.
For 9. Okay. This guy only takes 4. The rest of them take 9. Shit, why'd you remove the square?
I'll get it. Hold on.
I was
Which
hoping
HP do
There you go.
kobolds have?
There you
Anyone remember?
Alright, 9. Yeah, I know they're all dead. Alright.
And
Anything
then
else?
I am going to give a point of inspiration to Tara.
Alright, so as Maximilian unfolds his wings, finally getting to use them in combat, soars into the air, not very far, but high enough to get an overlook of the battle, and points a hand and a finger down towards the center of this group to the left. And as he does so, a cacophonous boom explodes from the center. You actually see some of the dirt and rocks and everything fly back from the concussion of this impact. 4 of the kobolds immediately drop. The lizard folk braces against it, but is able to survive the blast. And 1 kobold as well remains standing, though he looks very haggard and barely standing. Tara.
Okay. I am going to take a step forward. And I am going to cast Erupting Earth. Hold on. At level 4. And I want the cube to just stop right there. So wherever I need to put that.
Yeah, just draw it for me. This is something y'all need to probably get good at, so go ahead and start doing it.
How big is the cube?
It's a 20-foot cube.
So that's
point?
4x4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just need to go over to your draw shape tool and drag it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to move it around just to see optimal effect.
Also,
Yeah.
if you need to quickly lock on for spaces, just hold the space bar as the shift key as you're selecting, and it'll auto lock to the grid.
Snap the grid. Okay.
Yep.
Right there. That's a
Right
4x4, right?
All right, so all of them need to make a dex save. What's your DC?
My DC is 15.
All right, 2 lizard folk first. 11 and 16. 1 will save. 1 kobold, which is already... Wait, no, he's not the English one. Dex save. Also going to save. And the half dragon. Not going to save. Cool. Go ahead and roll the damage.
So half damage on the successful saves.
Oh, Jesus. Beefy. All right, so 1... What do you say? The weakened 1 took the full
Kobold's
damage.
Still probably gonna die.
This guy took that. Yeah, kobold's 100% dead. Half dragon still standing. Looks more inconvenienced than anything.
And I will be using my bonus action. I can't control my golem token.
Oh shit, I haven't.
You
I
didn't
haven't
actually
made your
set
own.
it for her.
Yeah, I didn't make your own. Yeah, just tell me where to put it.
Right in front of the half dragon.
Okay.
And I believe it's a 1d20 plus 4 for attack.
Correct.
And do you roll it both times?
Yeah, for each attack it makes 2
All
if I
right.
remember right.
Yeah, 2.
Slam attacks.
Slam attack.
You gotta send me a message and remind me to do that. I completely forgot.
Yeah, so a 6 and a 17.
Both are gonna miss, actually.
Wow. All right. That will end my turn.
All right. So as Tara motions out towards the ground, she kind of makes a lifting motion with her hands, and as she does so, the ground underneath these 4 creatures erupts outward, shards of earth flying through the air. You see one of the lizard folk that had already been hit by the shatter earlier fall to the ground, just motionless from being impaled from a few jagged pieces of earth, as well as a kobold back behind it. The half dragon kind of dodges aside, still taking a big brunt of the damage, but able to not take too much from it. The lizard folk back behind it, barely keeping its feet as it's hit by all of
See
this.
if I can beat Blender 3000.
Mr. Pebbles marches forward at Tara's command and swings both his fists around trying to hit this half dragon, but he agilely steps aside of both the shots and is not hit. My turn. All right, so these guys seeing all this are going to take off moving this way. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Stepping up over here next to you. He is going to...
That's rough terrain, by the way.
if he moved diagonally from there to there.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
It's going to try to hit you with a dagger. Gonna miss. This guy gonna move up to the edge. He's gonna throw a dagger at Steve. 18. Is that it?
Yep.
Sinks into you for 4. This guy... wait. Yeah, okay. Gonna stop here. Also throw at Steve.
Rude.
19.
Yep.
Hit you for 3. This guy, move down towards Max. Stabby stab. 11, gonna miss. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. This guy's gonna step up. Stab. 15. Don't think that hits.
No.
No. Okay. Misses his dagger attack. 5,
Oh
10,
my,
15,
it's
20. Gonna
beginning
raise and start
happening,
swinging a
it's
sling through the air aimed at Maximilian. 22.
Yes.
Connects for 4 bludgeoning damage. Moving left still. 5, 10, 15. Much of the same. Still aiming at Max. Not really having any targets. 9. Gonna miss.
Kinda
Last
not.
guy. Gonna move right here. 30 feet. Yep. Gonna also sling at Max. 14's gonna miss. So all of those kobolds moving forward, attempting to attack the people on their side of the battlefield, only able to land a couple of hits before their turns have ended. Ignalia.
All right.
Split
I
on the
am
attacks.
going to activate my Mantle of
Okay.
and then, so that's my bonus action. Then I'm going to go ahead and cast Elf's Minute Meteors.
Okay.
So I create 6 little molten spheres of meteor floating around me. And because I can do it, I can launch 2 of those when I create it. I'm going to toss one over here. So those guys, anything within 5 feet, will get hit by that one. And I'll send another one. Yeah, I'll center this one here so it gets those 3 guys.
Okay. All right. So left side first, 3 kobolds, 1 lizard folk. Dex saves.
For half. Yep.
Okay. I think 2 of them are going to save. I don't think you have a DC of 18 yet.
No. Not yet.
Okay. Okay. So 2 of them will save. 1 will not. Lizard folk over there is also going to attempt. He is going to fail, I think. And then you got 2 kobolds and a lizard folk. Damn. Okay, so lizard folk all get hit, and 1 kobold gets hit directly with it. So first one is 13, so half damage otherwise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, these guys are still going to die, regardless if they save or not. And this guy's going to take the full 13. And left side, they all saved? No, the lizard folk did not. The other 2 did. 9 damage, reduced down to 4. Hey, they're still standing.
They're weak. I
They're
mean, I can
super
empower
hurt, though.
spell if you just don't want to manage them anymore. I can do that for you.
I like to think I'm doing a pretty good job so far. All right, so anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, so as Ignalia steps forward, this mantle of flame begins to encompass her entire being, shedding off flames all around her, whispering, intermingling with the smoke coming off of her armor. And with that, she raises a finger and begins to spin it around her head and such. And as she does so, these small meteors begin to swirl around her entire body. And she immediately points off 1 meteor to her left and then points with her other hand off to the right. And 2 of the meteors streak off, exploding on impact like mini fireballs. Hitting them, taking out a few targets as they do so, and damaging others. But still a lot of enemies standing. That being said, they are going to retaliate now. So this kobold is going to step forward to Terra, swinging a dagger towards her. 13, I think, misses.
Nope. Yeah, that misses.
Yeah. All right. This guy, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, right up next to Terra. Dagger.
Oh, that'll
Natural
definitely hit.
20s for max damage, so it'll be 10 points of damage to you. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Moving up to the clay golem. You have its AC and HP on hand, right?
I have its HP on hand. Let me double check this AC.
It's like 17 or 18.
8.
Yeah, something stupid. All right, it's going to swing and attempt to attack this golem that's attacking its friend. It's going to miss horribly. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Oof, right up next to you. And dagger. 17.
Is that to me?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Damn, you're a sorcerer with 18 points. Jesus. All right. He misses. 5, 10, 15, 20. Gonna move just in range, raise a sling and aim it at Terra. 19. Gonna hit
That
you
will
for
hit.
3 bludgeoning damage. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Also slinging at Terra. 10 gonna miss. Let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Gonna aim at the golem with its sling. 9's gonna miss. 15, 20, 25, 30. Tara's the closest. Gonna aim at Tara again. It's within 30 feet. 17's gonna miss. This guy, which was up here.
I feel so bad for what is about to happen here.
Golem. Ooh, nat 20. Golem takes 6 points of damage. Sorry.
Max.
9 damage. 9 points of bludgeoning damage. Keep track of its health for me.
Yep, I am.
Dope. All right. So as all those guys rushed forward, attacking as they were, Stone Skull finally gallantly riding into battle, but somehow being slower than all his comrades who were rushing past him, finally gets to take his turn.
Which makes no sense. He quickly rushes up, taking out the Greatsword Gleam Edge, raging as he enters into combat, and swipes to the one at his right. 26 to hit.
Uh-huh.
We have a
9
mounted blender.
slashing damage. Moves forward, and as he's swiping through the one, he swipes to the one to his left as well. Just continues the motion straight through. 12 to hit.
Hits.
For 12.
Uh-huh.
Then action surge, and as it swipes through, he whips it back around, bringing it forward to the one directly in front of him. See what happens here. 22 is gonna hit. And then continuing that path with another one, again continuing the swipe with the sword, hitting the one to his south for 11.
So Blender 2000 has been activated.
It has been.
Anything else?
No. Blender 2000 is activated. That's all.
You're riding your warhorse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as Stone Skull just charges forward, initially, thinking he has to jump on everything, he starts to move forward to kick his spurs off, but he sees all of his allies just charging forward already all around him. He kind of looks astonished. He's like, "Oh, y'all were ready for this. Okay, cool." And charges forward and just with a happy glee on his face, rages and begins swinging his sword, aiming kind of low off the top of this very large war horse as he does so, but is able to bring his greatsword through, just knocking off heads and slicing through bodies of these small, super weak kobolds and killing 4 of them. That being said, this guy is now going to retaliate.
Come at me, bro.
He is going to step over here, still staying within threat range, and you see him leaning back as he thrusts his head forward and a gout of flame erupts, heading out in this early direction. Hitting Tara, Steve, and the Golem. I need dex saves from all 3 of you.
Can I use
D20
my...
plus 0.
Can I
Use your what now?
inspiration on this?
I don't know. Max, can you use the inspiration on this?
Yes, you can.
On dex save, yeah.
And it's so okay.
Okay.
Don't need it.
And your Stone Golem will be just a D20 flat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Super dexterous, right?
Not so much.
13.
Okay. So Steve and the Golem, unfortunately, are going to fail their dex saves as this fire breath explodes out from him.
Oh, beefy.
Okay, Steve and the Golem both take 30 points of fire damage. Tara able to nimbly kind of step off to the side, trying to dodge it, turning her back to it, shoving off the brunt of it, only taking 15 points of damage.
Try again. Actually, take 7.
Oh yeah, because rogues.
Because rogues.
Vision and it's fire.
Oh, and it's fire, and you have resistance to this. Excellent. Perfect. All right, so Steve, just standing there in the fire, just kind of stands there. He quickly, nimbly, almost in the flames, dancing among them, is able to dodge through them, not taking as much damage with his agility, but also the flames just kind of lapping off his scales, not doing hardly anything to him. And then it reaches around with its short sword and swings at Steve as well. It's an 18 hits.
That
All right, and he connects with the short sword across your chest for another 6 points of piercing damage. Hey, the lizard folk finally get to go. We're going to start off back here. And they do. Ooh, they got javelins. Cool. Oh, that's a new attack. Dope. All right. 5, 10, 15, 20. Gonna move right up next to Stone Skull, and you see the shield actually has spikes implanted onto it. As it moves forward, it raises its shield as well as a javelin and uses both of them, jabbing the shield towards him as well as the javelin. Javelin first. 9, gonna miss. Spike shield next. 22.
Yep. And it's halved.
Yeah, because raging. So the spikes of this shield dig into your flesh, not really getting much penetration, only dealing 3 points of piercing damage to you. That being said, he has friends. This guy's going to do much the same. 16?
Does not.
All right. And spike shield 14. Both of those attacks miss. This guy moving at half speed is only at 15, 5, 10, 15. Still able to move up to Stone Skull and starts doing the same. Javelin, 10, going to miss. 19 for the spike shield, though. Dealing us 3 with their resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, those 2 moves. Wait, which ones did I just attack with? This one?
The 3 around me.
Have I attacked with 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All 3 of
the
them.
other one missed. Yeah, the other one missed. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This one's going to take a side step out, and it's going to just throw 1 javelin at you, Stone Skull, and it's gonna miss wildly. This guy, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, is gonna move up next to Max and do much the same with the javelin and spike shield. 6 and a 6, gonna miss both his attacks.
Yes.
So
I'm
it's
in the air, by the way.
Yeah, he's flying
you are.
in the air right now.
True that.
You can throw a
Yeah.
javelin at me.
Yeah, we'll just keep what it tried to do. Swinging in the air blindly, unable to connect with you, unfortunately. Steve, you're back up.
All right. Same.
All right. Unfortunately, a 15 is not going to hit.
What about 18?
Oh, you do have friends nearby, don't you? Yep.
Mhm.
18 will connect. Yep.
Right.
Let's see, what else do I want to do?
Math is hard.
I
25.
know exactly what I'm gonna do.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. So as Rogar brings this rapier around, stabbing it into the chest of this half dragon, you see him grunt at pain, and he quickly grabs hold of the rapier and pulls it out of his chest. Still very much seeming in fighting shape, however, taking a good chunk of damage from that. Maximilian.
Just realized
I'm
I
going
got the
to
perfect thing to make sure this
continue to
is gonna
fly
be a bad thing
up
for
near
them.
about 20 feet off the ground. Clearly out of melee range,
Mhm.
anywhere on the ground. And then breathe a cone of fire straight down onto the 3 that have gathered at my feet.
Okay. Dex save 2 kobolds, 1 lizard folk. So lizard folk first.
You'll
Gonna
have
succeed.
to move like right here to do that.
No, I'm shooting down. A cone down.
The cone down would go directly in front of you. So starting in that square and would spread out. So it would go 15 to there, 15 to there, and the one ahead.
I will say for flavor, it spreads out from
Okay.
it impacting the ground from it. Not that big a deal. He's going to
Yeah.
hit all 3 regardless. So yeah, the lizard folk will save, and 1 kobold will save against your 12. The kobold doesn't matter. Lizard folk is going to take 6. He's still alive.
And then I'm going to give a point of inspiration to Steve.
Thanks.
Okay. Seems to need it here lately.
Hook him up.
All right, so the scout as as Maximilian takes off higher into the air, you see his throat starting to enlarge a bit as he gathers this gout of flame and then immediately shoots it down directly below him. It impacts the ground, hitting this rock and some grass and such, and then explodes outward. hitting all 3 of these creatures that had gathered down below and trying to find purchase on his body. 2 of them drop. The lizard folk looks charred and singed, a little bit scared at this point, but is still standing. Tara.
Tara is going to use her bonus action to reach out towards Steve.
Yeah.
All right. So he.
We must protect our delicate little flower.
All right.
And then for her action, she's going to turn towards the kobold that is next to her and smash down with her ball
Mm-hmm.
for 10 bludgeoning.
Yeah, she is.
Flatten it into the ground with its 1 HP.
And that will end my turn for right now.
All right. So as she points her hand out towards Steve, the earth that was kind of jutted up out of the ground surrounding everything in the area jumps out and starts to swirl around Steve, giving him an Aegis of protection. And then she quicks with just a quick backhand, brings them all around, catching this kobold across the head and just completely crushes its skull, it not having much HP at all. Is there anything left on the left side? There are 3 left. Okay, so first one's going to attack. This guy's going to move 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Going to wind up a sling towards Steve. Going to crit fail. He drops his sling and misses completely. The guy right next to Steve is going to try to stab him with the dagger. Nat 20 is going to hit, dealing a total of 8 piercing damage to you. This last one is going to dance
Piercing
down.
resistance.
Yep, reduce it by, 4?
The damage as reduced by 4.
So yeah, so you only take 4 piercing damage then with that Aegis protection. This last one's going to dance down, looking up at Max, and is going to throw a dagger at him. Not going to hit him. Dagger sails
Correct.
wide. Nothing else is alive over here. That's their turn. Ignalia.
I'm gonna call out in Draconic to the lizard folk and say, "We freed many of your people before. Lay down your arms. We'll let you live."
Give me a persuasion check.
Oh god. Here comes the nat 1.
Yep, they are not impressed by your words.
Alright, well, I'm gonna fireball. No, not fireball. I'm gonna.
I look.
Well, then you
Your choice.
die. Yeah, I'm gonna send off 2 more meteors as a bonus action to here and here.
Alright, so 4 kobolds. Well, okay, sorry. 2 kobolds, 1 lizard folk for the first one.
Yep. I'm gonna empower that because that was some weak shit.
Alright, I think they all fail.
Man, I'm empowering both of those just because, goddamn, I got pride.
Alright. Spend your sorcery points and re-roll 1 of the damage die?
No, reroll damage die up to my charisma, so I'm just gonna redo both.
Oh, okay. Alright, go ahead and re-roll damage then. A little
Mm.
better. A little better.
Little
Okay.
better.
A little better. Alright, so first one is dealing 10. They all fail, so dead. Dead. And still standing. Second one, 2 kobolds. Fail. Succeed. 1 lizard folk. What's your DC?
15, I think.
So
15.
Yep.
So it's going to meet it. So it's going to beat it. So lizard folk and 1 kobold survive against 9 damage. Just for my sanity. This guy's dead. That one's still standing. This guy's going to take... Ooh, shit. This guy's going to take 4. Alright, still very much standing.
Alright, and then that was my bonus with my movement. I will move up next to this man and swing at him.
Alright.
Ooh,
23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna dump a smite into that.
Okay. Jesus.
Mm.
How much damage is that?
34.
Plus 4 more fire because my
38.
mantle is up. So 19, 22, 42?
42, yep.
42, yep.
Okay. All right. He's still standing. Anything else?
No.
All right. So as Ignalia begins to run forward, she waves out her hand, pointing at two different directions. Two more of these meteors streak out, exploding, taking out a few more enemies and damaging others. As she jumps over one of the dead kobolds' bodies, she brings her sword down, slicing deeply across the chest. And as she does so, you see the flames sparkling through the wound, almost radiating her energy as it does so, as she smites as well. This half-dragon groans in pain and reaches up and grasps his chest as this deep wound crosses it. You see definite fear in his eyes as he seems to be barely holding on to life. That being said, the one kobold that's alive still? Yeah.
There's two.
There's two.
three.
There's four.
Four.
No, on the right
Whoa.
side.
Oh,
They're just split
on
into
the
two
right
groups,
side,
left
just
and
one.
right. Yeah, right's just
Yeah.
one. So, running towards Skull and dagger melee. Crap! Now he drops his dagger and
Dagger
pisses
melee.
himself. Okay, Stone Skull.
Okay. I'm just gonna do like a whirling motion and hack the one to my right and then the one in front of me. So, and before I do so, this is gonna be a reckless attack at advantage.
Okay.
That's the first one,
Y'all.
and this is gonna be reckless.
Okay.
So, 15 and 16. So the one to the right and then the one to the north.
All right. One to the right is still standing. The one to the top, though, you cleave his head off.
Nice. And with that, I think that's gonna end my. Yeah, that'll end my turn.
All right, so his Stone Skull reaches up and just grabs it and begins slashing wildly through the air, not even caring if he leaves himself open. Is able to bring down, leaving a heavy gash into the lizard folk to the right, not quite killing it as it staggers backwards, bursting out blood from its mouth, taking a heavy hit. Still alive, but barely. He quickly turns to the one to the north and swings again, not even really aiming for the head, but as it kind of dodges backwards, unfortunately the blade meets it right across the neck and it decapitates him.
And the one to my right is also marked.
Okay. I'm not going to bother marking
Oh.
that because he's only going to attack you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this guy is going to not get his breath weapon back, so he is going to look at...
Come on, you know you want to.
1d3. 1d3.
Is going to look at the... Well, wait, here. Oh, he moved 3, so
The
1d3.
golem.
1d2. Okay, so first attack is going to go with Golem. Second attack towards Steve, and the last one
God.
towards Ignalia.
God damn.
So, first longsword attack towards the Golem. 16,
Miss.
I think, misses. Second longsword attack towards Steve. 22 is going to land. Doing 5, I think, right?
Yes. No, -4, so 6.
Oh, 6. Okay, yeah. So
Somebody does have inspiration.
I will be using my reaction.
Oh, okay. To jump up and attack him?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Bold.
Yeah, you hit him.
For 6.
Yeah, so...
Can I have my inspiration on that?
You don't need to.
Okay.
Well, I'm using my inspiration to add that to my AC.
Okay, go ahead and roll the... What is it, D8 now?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
You rolled an 8.
Yeah. So, wait. Does he have to be hit by the attack for your reaction to happen?
I believe so. Hold on.
No, it's like
Is it hit or miss? Let me double check.
Is it just somebody else, or the person that has the
No, it
Aegis
says-
It's the
gets
protected
attacked?
target.
Yeah, when a creature you can see within hits the protected target with a
Mhm.
melee attack, so you cannot teleport.
I rolled before Steve.
I mean, but still, orders of operation. If he's using it to boost his EC,
Right.
the hit doesn't happen. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, so that's what 2 attacks. Third one's
take
going
down the
towards
trophy
Molly.
kill.
He's
Brings
Wait your
the
turn.
short sword
he's
around.
doing that to keep you from kill stealing.
19.
Kill
Does a 19 hit you? I don't think it
Me?
does. But yeah,
No. God,
I
no.
didn't think so. Okay. So yeah, it brings
no.
No.
God,
it
no.
brings his long sword around twice, swiping at the golem, swiping at Steve. Unfortunately, Steve's inspiration allows him to dodge aside at the very last second, the blade almost slicing across his neck, but he gets just a hair's breadth away. And then it quickly brings the sword, short sword around, slicing at Nalia, and Nalia just contemptuously bats the sword away with this kind of weak attack, knowing that he is very close to death. The lizard folk are going to try to do things and stuff. Starting from the right, this guy's going to move down to the body. All right, and all three of them are going to attempt to attack Stone Skull. So starting with the first one, javelin at close range as well as a spiked shield. So far right one is going to do that and miss. And that and miss. Second one, miss. Miss. Y'all are terrible. Miss. Hey, hit,
Hey,
finally.
that hits. And half
Finally
damage.
gets you for 4 piercing damage. Let's see who's else alive. All right, the bottom lizard folk's gonna grab his javelin,
This isn't
changing the position on his hand, so he's
overpowered at
holding it
all.
overhanded, and it's gonna throw it
Man.
at Max and hit him.
Hey.
23 to hit him for 6.
Yeah, ouch.
So this catches you right on your bottom of your calf for 6 piercing damage.
Message for you, sir.
Get down here. All right, Steve, you're back up on the chopping block.
Alright. Hope for the best.
Ah, that hits.
He's super dead.
And he did. Anything else?
No.
All right. So as you see this man, or this half dragon in front of you, very weak from fatigue, especially after that heavy blow and smite from Ignalia, you block one attack, raising up a scaled fist to knock his blade away as it's about to hit you. And with a quick reversal, you bring the rapier up and stab it right up into his throat. And as you're doing so, you begin to twist the blade. And as you do so, you hear just a solid gurgle coming from his mouth as you rip the rapier out from his throat, and he falls to the ground, unmoving.
Yeah.
Maximilian, there's a few people left.
Yeah, I want to dive bomb this lizard guy. I want to
Alright.
just essentially slam down using my shield and just hit him.
No, okay.
Not sure how you'd like me to roll that.
Strength. Probably. If
Yeah,
he's
give
trying to
me-
force him down, yeah.
I mean, if you're just landing on top of him from 20 feet up, just give me an acrobatics check to see if you land on him or not.
That's a good one. Oh,
Okay.
No.
no.
Said dive bomb. Give me a 1d10.
Oh no.
Okay, so as Maximilian lunges down, tucking his wings down to his side, tries to do something new and tucks his wings in and dives straight into the ground towards this lizard folk. The lizard folk that was already attacking him just landed an attack on him with the javelin. At first looked like he was reaching for another javelin from his belt, but quickly jumps backwards and sidesteps the dive bomb. Unfortunately, you run straight into the ground, not really being practiced with this, and you take 3 bludgeoning damage.
Ouch. Alright, fair enough. I'm imagining I'm just gonna get up.
Yeah,
Was I prone? I mean,
probably good. No, you kind of just went like face first into the ground, landing with like your elbows, I would guess. So you just took some damage from it. You're able to stand up and be like, well, that was embarrassing.
Kind of looking around to see if anybody else noticed.
Practice that. I'll try that one later.
As a bonus action, I pick up my dignity.
Yeah, right.
Anything else?
No. I'm good on that.
All right, so it's, Maximilian creates a cloud of dust on the ground as he impacts it very heavily, dropping from 20 feet down in an uncontrolled fashion. He stands back up and just kind of glares at everyone around him. Tara.
What are you looking at?
Tara is going to move here by that Max just came plummeting by
Yeah, dust is still in the air.
and take a swing at him.
The one in your top left, yeah, that hits.
Yeah, for 11 bludgeoning.
Another skull crush.
And my golem will be moving right here and taking a swing at both of those kabolts.
Okay,
Kabolt.
first one.
Get the
left.
bolts.
In 5.
So which one? Which left and top or top and left?
This one was first. This one second.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and roll me the damage for it for the first attack.
1d10 plus 4. Hey.
Ooh. Crushed.
Yeah, super dead. So yeah, it's like Tara step. You do anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. As Tara steps forward, she once again kind of offhandedly just swings the maul through the air, catching this lizardfold right in the snout, crushes its snout in directly into its skull, just leaving it completely disfigured and very much dead. She then looks back towards Mr. Pebbles, and Mr. Pebble marches slowly over to these two kobolds, bringing a heavy fist down, completely slamming one down into the earth, just kind of turning into a splattering of scales and blood. Then with the backhand swings his other fist around, but the kobold quickly ducks underneath the fist, is able to dodge it. He's the only one left on the left.
There are two. There's that one there, and then there's one up here.
Oh yeah, he is. Okay, so he's gonna step up, and they're both gonna attack Steve. Melee.
No.
16. I don't think that hits.
Yep.
Oh, it does.
Oh.
Ha! You take 3.
Which one was that?
So, this
This
one here.
Oh hey, you can do it.
Oh, hi.
For you.
Inspiration.
What you missed.
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
Took it at 2. You did, you son of a bitch.
You got a 2 and you still miss.
Ah.
That's unfortunate.
This is all Steve's fault.
It's supposed to be a D8, not a D10.
All right, Steve takes 3 from the first one. The second
Oh yeah,
one
he
just
rolled a
barely-
D10 instead of a D8.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. The other one takes also connects with Steve as he lunges out with a dagger. So Steve, from those 2 attacks, you take 6 piercing damage, and that's all of them on the left, and yeah, none of them are alive on the right. Actually. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
there's
one
one. There's one right here.
Don't it take 0?
No, you can't
You would take
zero.
one
You
for
take-
you would take one for
Yeah,
each.
one
would
for
take
each one, so
two.
2.
So 2 piercing damage. Ignalia.
I'm gonna call it Draconic one more time. Just you're sure. God, what's that dragon's name? Varric Manthar will let you back into his swamp.
Yeah, these guys aren't listening. They're just fighting, trying to survive at this point.
Alright. Stone Skull, I'm gonna buy you a beer. Sorry about this. I'm launching the final 2 ones to collide above his head and take out all of them.
Oh god. Okay.
I know he's
Alright.
got damage reduction.
Okay, so 3 lizard folk, 1 thing, and Stone Skull, 2 deck saves. Like,
Oh, it's a dex save. I get advantage on that.
all right.
Yeah,
See,
but
even
only
better.
half.
You might take quarter damage.
2 dex saves or just 1?
Yeah, 2 deck
2.
saves. Each
Okay.
mediator.
2 separate meteors.
Nice.
Yeah. You'll
All
save
right.
both.
You'll save both, so you only take half damage on these.
And then,
All right.
or, oh, never mind.
Quarter
Yeah,
damage.
All right. First one on the left. Save once, not the other. Middle.
So 6 and 6, so
Right.
3 and 3.
They all save once and fail once.
So I would
Uh,
I'd take
does
6 total. Because I'd take a quarter damage on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's why I didn't feel bad.
So they failed their first. All of them failed their first one, so they all take 13.
Oh,
If
do
they
I
all succeeded one, failed one, they should all take 18 damage.
do I need to save for the horse though?
No,
Oh no, I didn't even think
You're
about the
covered.
horse.
No, it exploded above your head. You're covering
Okay.
your body.
Your body
I like
covered
that
horse.
explanation.
Yeah.
Okay.
that'll- All right. The only one left is the one lizard folk.
Yeah. That
Anything
poor
else,
guy.
Ignalia?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not done. I'm going to run around to here. And Flame Blade. 18.
Uh huh.
9, fire, and I'm dragging that fire up into the other one next to him.
for 7.
Yep.
Okay,
Dead.
both
Or
dead.
actually, they're both at 10, so whatever.
Yep, both dead.
Wahaha, now I'm done.
Okay. So as these two small meteors explode right above Stone Skull, he kind of looks up and just smiles at them with a grinning face and kind of holds his arms out, spreading his body wide to protect the warhorse down beneath him. He takes a good little chunk of damage normally, but his skin just kind of bashes it away. However, he looks around him as most of the lizard folk just die. The kobold immediately dies. The one lizard folk north of him barely standing. And then Ignalia quickly just swipes her blade through one of them, and the fire leaps from it and singes into the other one, and it burns, just screaming out. It's super dead. All the kobolds are dead.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one guy left.
There's only one guy left.
Shit.
What I would like to do is
Uh-huh.
I would like to, grabbing onto the reins, I'm spinning the horse because the horse was kind of spinning around when I was doing the attack, and bring it around and face it directly in front, and I'm gonna just charge forward and just try to shove the great sword through the chest of this thing and just impale it and lift it off the ground. Take it with me.
All right, go ahead and try it.
Also, reckless here.
Also
Yes.
reckless.
You do the thing.
Also
that you
reckless.
wanted to do. Go ahead and
Just to be sure.
give me that hot description of how you took out the final enemy.
Yeah, so spinning around, and as soon as the horse lands on its feet, like looking directly at this thing, it begins to charge forward, and the lizard folk kind of sidesteps trying to avoid it. And as it does, Stone Skull just like takes the great sword and just shoves it through the chest, and then just kind of lifts it and impales it off the ground and rides about 5 or 10 feet, and then just kind of flings it off to the side and just ignores it.
So as the final enemy in front of you, this lizard folk's
Brutal.
limpless, just completely limp body lands on the ground, skinning across. You all observe just the utter destruction that you have wrought to this group of what you assume to be cult marauders. You're all looking around, and you notice that when you were traveling before on the tradeway, you not only had saw or seen more people traveling upon it, you definitely didn't see open cult activity. Unsettles you a bit.
Waylaying caravans on the main highway.
Yeah, out in the open for everybody to see, openly distinguishing who and what they are a part of. Kind of lets you know a little information that they're growing more bold as each day passes. That being said, they are obviously not ready for you and what you're able to do as you completely slaughter the small party of cultists, completely just destroying this group.
Waylay this, son.
What was this, a platoon?
Like, I don't even know that.
A company.
I don't think it was 100 men.
As you're looking through the bodies, you find mostly mundane things, especially amongst the kobolds and the lizard folk. On the half dragon, you find a somewhat well-made longsword, albeit you're able to easily tell, especially from your own armaments, that it is not magical in nature at all. You also find in a small pouch at his side, he's carrying 6 gold pieces and 5 silver pieces.
Ooh.
You can easily get from him. Not
He's
the richest.
terrible at demanding money for like, you've been here how long? You got 5 gold?
Listen, it was a slow day. All right? Not a lot of business right now. We ran them all off. We're working on it. You were our big score, and you fucked it up.
Quiet, you're dead.
So as you all come to this realization that the cult
Let's
is
clear the
obviously...
road.
yeah, you're able to go through and clear the road, noticing that there's just not anything else threatening in the area. But knowing that it's still about midway through your 3rd day, early tomorrow you'll be able to reach the town of Daggerford. But at this point, you kind of, like I said, have the realization that cult's getting a little bit bolder as with its antics and such, and openly displaying its aggression towards, you assume, everyone, not only yourselves. But that is where we're going to go in the end session for the evening.
Yeah.
Sounds like desperation to me.
Thank you for letting us murder hobo.
You're welcome.
So, approximately how many kobolds do we need to face before it's a challenge?
I don't know. More than
I-
21, apparently.
I mean, I took 16 damage total, and that's with a bunch of it
Well-
from Ignalia.
Yeah, that's 6 from me.
I took 13, 3 of which was by me becoming a lawn dart.
Yes.
Look, I took 23, but Golem's almost dead.
I'll be
took
right back.
25, and that's only because of
You're bad, AC.
Because Stone Skull didn't come over and save you.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I helped you keep that only to 23.
in
Exactly.
Twitch
Even
chat,
though you stole my kill.
in Twitch chat, Ruckus is like, "No, you're going the wrong way."
I need my help. I need allies.
over here.
Yeah,
I'll be
how
right
much help?
All right, so that's gonna be it for tonight. Let's see. Let's go find us somebody to go say hi to. Where are we gonna say hi to, people? Let's go say hi to Rindus. He's streaming right now. Yeah. Let's do that. Go over, say hi to Rin. Let him know we like him very much. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys on Wednesday for the special session of Amongst the Giants. Have a good night, and I'll see you at 7:30 on